in the more than 30 years back that case was being occurred. Now this verdict has come. How do you see this? Or according to you, there is a conspiracy behind this because such a long time back this happened, and now the verdict has finally come.
I don't want to comment on the judicial process, due respect to the judicial process. So I don't think it will be responsible on my part to make any comment on this.
Well, if it was the turn of Navjot Singh Sidhu to go to jail, Indrani Mukerjea walked out of it. The lady who was accused of being involved in the murder of her daughter Sheena Bora walked out of Baikola jail a day after she was granted bail by the Supreme Court after serving 6.5 years. Sheena Bora was Indrani's daughter from her previous marriage. As soon as she was released, she said, "I am very happy."
काफी खुश हैं, क्या कहना चाहेंगी? अभी घर पे जा रही हैं, किस तरफ जा रही हैं?
घर जा रही हूँ अभी। घर जा रही हूँ अभी।
और क्या कहना चाहेंगी?
फिलहाल तो कुछ नहीं।
आगे का क्या प्लान है?
अभी कुछ प्लान अभी कुछ नहीं है। अभी फिलहाल अभी जाके अपना घर जाना है बस।
मैम बहुत लंबा वक्त रहा, आगे की शुरुआत कैसी होगी? आप बुक भी लिख रही थी इस पर।
अभी मैं कुछ प्लान नहीं कर रही हूँ, अभी आगे जाके पहले घर तो पहुँचूं, फिर उसके बाद देखती हूँ।
Indrani, really all the best to you for this.
Thank you.
But I wanted to ask you was, do you blame anyone for this particular incident?
It's all, it's all forgotten.
6.5 years of yours lost.
Empathy and forgiveness. I've forgiven all the people who have hurt me, that's all. So.
Is there anything you learned in the jail, prison?
Lots.
What?
Lots. Next interview.
3 years after accused in a brutal rape and murder case were killed in an encounter in Hyderabad, today a Supreme Court appointed committee said that the encounter was fake and the 10 policemen who were involved in that operation need to be sacked. The panel, led by a former judge of the top court, said that 3 of the 4 accused killed in the encounter were minors. The panel even said that there is no evidence to show that the accused snatched the weapons of the policemen and tried to run. It has indicted the 10 cops of opening fire with an intent to cause death. Soon after the judgment came out, the kin of the accused claimed vindication.
అడికెళ్ళి రోజు సుప్రీంకోర్టులో కూడా కేసు గెలిచిందని ఒక వార్త తెలిసింది మాకు ఈరోజు తెలిసింది 2 గంటల క్రితం సుప్రీంకోర్టులో కేసు గెలిచింది హైకోర్టుకు వస్తుందని హైకోర్టుకు వస్తే మాకు యాదో ఒకటి న్యాయం అవుతుంది అని ఆయన జడ్జి కూడా అదే మాట అన్నాడు మాకు మీకు ఏదైనా న్యాయం జరుగుతుందని లాయర్ అన్నాడు జడ్జి అన్నాడు మరి కమిషనర్ అన్నాడు మాకు న్యాయం అవుతుంది మాకు న్యాయం అయితే ఏదైనా మీకు ఇస్తారు సాయం చేస్తాము అని ఎవరో వాళ్ళు చంపిన వాళ్ళని వాళ్ళైతే పక్క దొరికితే వాళ్ళకు టూర్స్ ఇచ్చేవాడాలి మాకు న్యాయం జరగాలి మాకు ఇంకేదో సాయం చేయాలని కోరుకుంటున్నాను ఇంతే మాకు ఆశ ఇంకేం లేదు హైకోర్టులో కూడా ఇదే న్యాయం అయింది సుప్రీంకోర్టులో కూడా ఇదే న్యాయం గెలిచింది మాకు కూడా ఇదే న్యాయం కావాలని కోరుతున్నాం ఇంకేం
దిశ ఇంకోటరు శివ జల్లు శివ వాళ్ళ నాయనని జల్లు రాజాని దిశ ఇంకోటర్లో జరిగింది సుప్రీంకోర్టులో ఈరోజు 2 గంటల వరకు మాకు ఏ ఓటు అందుతుందని ఎదురు చూస్తుంది ఏమి ఓటు అందుతుందని ఎదురు చూస్తుంది సుప్రీంకోర్టు ద్వారా తేలిపోతుంది అని కమిషనర్ కూడా చెప్పారు మరి ఇంతకుముందు కమిషనర్ కూడా ఏమన్నాడంటే ఈ రిపోర్ట్ చేసిన
The rape and the murder of Disha was one of the most heinous crimes in recent memory, but that still doesn't excuse an extrajudicial encounter of rapists and killers. For now, over to Rahul Shivshankar for India Upfront.
Thanks indeed, Padmaja. Yes, the big story tonight, viewers, coming straight from the Supreme Court. Viewers, in the Supreme Court today, the Muslim side tried. They said the 1991 Places of Worship Act is being violated completely, that it forbids the conduct of a survey in the Gyanvapi mosque. They said the trial court has run amok. They said that the survey reports were leaked to vitiate the atmosphere and create a narrative. They said, viewers, that the courts were collaborating with the Hindu side, and for that reason, an immediate express stay must be placed on all proceedings in the lower courts, in the Varanasi courts. They said for this reason, the survey also should be stopped. But 1 hour after the hearing began, the Supreme Court did not stay the survey. They in fact left it to a district court to look into the matter. Even the decision to hand this matter to a more experienced judge was with a caveat. The Supreme Court said and made very clear, viewers, that their decision to take this matter and give it to a more experienced district judge was not a reflection on the competence, the impartiality of the judge who is currently hearing the matter. The Supreme Court said that this was a complex issue, and therefore a judge with a little more experience would be better served in addressing the demand seeking the right to worship for Hindus at the mosque. In a sense, viewers, the apex court virtually ruled that Hindu groups cannot be barred from ascertaining the religious character of a place of worship, even though the 1991 Act, the Places of Worship Act, the Muslim side said, stands in the way. In fact, it can be said that the highest court of our land has decided not to intervene in the matter substantially. Even after 3 centuries since Aurangzeb allegedly destroyed the mandir, the Astha of Hindus has never wavered. Viewers, till 1992, Hindus offered daily prayers at this disputed site and structure. Today, naturally, viewers, given the fact that their petition was not in any way, or at least their case was not in any way thrown out by the Supreme Court, and in fact the pleas of the Muslims were not taken on board, they are claiming vindication. They are saying that truth and astha, their belief that is, has triumphed. Listen in, viewers. We had just a short while back, and I'm going to try and pull that out, the bite of the principal plaintiff in this case, Vishnu Jain. I'll come to that. But viewers, let me just quickly give you some of the takeaways from the apex court's order. First takeaway, the Supreme Court refuses in a sense to intervene. It leaves this matter for the lower court to decide, take it to its logical conclusion. Second takeaway, the Muslim side's pleas in substance were rejected. No stay on the Gyanvapi survey has been put. So that's takeaway 3. Takeaway 4, case given to the district judge, not because the trial court judge was incompetent, inexperienced, impartial, but because a case of this complexity sometimes requires someone with more experience, and a district judge usually has, as the court itself said, 20 to 30 years of experience. The interim arrangements, that is the last order that was passed by the Supreme Court, stays. So, viewers, the shivling, the controversial shivling that you're seeing on your screens will continue to be shielded by security, while namazis will get access and will be able to pray at the mosque. The sixth takeaway, the 1991 law will not be a bar, at least as of today, viewers, in the conduct of the survey. Now, this is fundamentally important. As the Supreme Court refused to put a stay on the Gyanvapi survey, this is what it observed regarding the Places of Worship Act of 1991, and I want us to now read this together. The Supreme Court said the hybrid nature of places of worship is not unknown in India, that there are many such mosques that are built upon destroyed temples. It went on to say, ascertainment of religious character of a place is not a violation of the 1991 Act, viewers. It went on to say the ascertainment of religious character may not necessarily fall foul of Section 3 of the 1991 Act. While the suit now lies, viewers, in the domain of the district judge, the MIM's Asaduddin Owaisi has come out and expressed his disappointment with the Supreme Court, thereby implying, perhaps, I don't know, that the court didn't do enough to protect Muslim interests in this particular matter, and that he goes on to say he's upset that the lower courts are collaborating with the Hindu side. These are his words, not mine, and I will play them out for you. Let's listen into Asaduddin Owaisi.
My disappointment is on this issue that I was expecting that the Supreme Court will nip it in its bud, because this whole 91 Act categorically states that this act was made so that future controversies don't arise. So on that part, I was expecting the Supreme Court would nip it in its bud, because lower court honorable judge was listening to one side of what the petitioners were coming and telling him.
On the other hand, viewers, the Hindu side claims vindication. Listen to this.
जो आपने एक्सटेंशन ऑफ सर्वे भी मांगा था जी, एक्सटेंशन ऑफ सर्वे भी जो मांगा गया था, उन चीजों पे क्या एग्जैक्टली डिसाइड होगा?
एक्सटेंशन ऑफ सर्वे अभी हमने जो मांगा था वो कोर्ट वहाँ डिस्ट्रिक्ट जज डिसाइड करेगा,
वो डिसाइड
करेंगे। अभी सारी चीजें डिस्ट्रिक्ट जज वाराणसी के सामने हैं, और कोर्ट ने ये भी कहा कि जो सिविल जज सीनियर डिवीजन है, हम उनकी कॉम्पिटेंस पे कोई कमेंट नहीं कर रहे हैं। हम सिर्फ ये चाहते हैं कि ये सेंसिटिव मैटर है, ये एक सीनियर जुडिशियल ऑफिसर देखें। वजू के लिए अरेंजमेंट किया जाएगा। चौथी बात, जो मुस्लिम पक्ष की एप्लीकेशन थी 7/11 की और प्लेसेस ऑफ वर्शिप एक्ट के आर्गुमेंट्स, वो भी डिस्ट्रिक्ट जज साहब देखेंगे। यही आज सुप्रीम कोर्ट का ऑर्डर है, उस एसएलपी को पेंडिंग रख के इसको 2 हफ्ते बाद लगा। 8 हफ्ते इंटरिम ऑर्डर कंटिन्यू किया गया है। अब जब इंटरिम ऑर्डर कंटिन्यू रहेगा तो कोर्ट ने कहा जो भी ऑर्डर पास होगा, जो हमारा इंटरिम अरेंजमेंट है वो कंटिन्यू रहेगा।
Viewers, let's open this up straight away for debate tonight. Let's go straight across first to Advocate Tala Amir Rashidi, Zeba Yasmin, and Tausifur Rahman and others. I want to first begin with Advocate Tala Amir Rashidi. No stay on the survey, sir. No dismissal of the Hindu side's case. No, absolutely no interference by the Supreme Court in this entire issue. I want to ask you a basic question. It's quite clear that Hindu Astha cannot be shackled. Why are you standing still in the way of the truth? Allow the Hindus to worship there. Survey की report तो हमें सबको पता ही है. We know what the survey reports are saying. The shivling has been discovered, and we are not just talking about the one in the Wazoo which is being claimed as a shivling, but we are talking about, sir, the shivling that we see in the complex. We are seeing the damrus, we are seeing the trishuls, we are seeing other motifs which are intrinsically associated with Hindu temple architecture. Why are you denying? Why are you today, sir, punishing Hindus for their belief? This is the question. आप हिंदुओं को उनकी आस्था के लिए पनिश क्यों कर रहे हैं? जिद छोड़िए.
Once again, the most important question here is that what do you want to be supreme? Astha or the law or the constitution, the justice, the system of the justice? Do you want the Astha to be supreme? Do you want the country to be run by the Astha of the majority of the Bahusanchak Samaj? That is what that you want. The Supreme Court has not outrightly rejected the plea of the Masjid Committee. The Supreme Court has transferred the court from the Senior Civil judge to the district court. You can assume and you can presume the reason behind that. I don't want to comment upon the Supreme Court's observation. The Supreme Court has directed the district court to finalize the petition under the Order 7, Rule 11 at priority, on a priority basis. The Supreme Court has directed the DM to resolve the issue of Wuzu Khana on a priority basis. What do you think about this? The country has to run as per the law. The country will run as per the constitution. Our primary plea was that the survey commission should be stopped. But because the survey has already been concluded...
No. You said that the survey should be stopped because the 1991 Act prevents from... No, sir, I'm not going to just let you say whatever you want to say tonight. आपके जो prime... नहीं, 1 minute, sir. MIM के जो big boss हैं, MIM के जो big boss हैं, ओवैसी साहब, वो खुद disappointed हैं. और आप कह रहे हैं कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने आप पे मेहरबानी की है.
बात पूरी होने दीजिए, आप फिर कह रहिएगा, निकालिएगा. मैं वही
सर, आप गलत बात भी बोल दीजिए, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं.
सर ठीक है, बोलने दीजिए ना, आप गलत को गलत कहिएगा, बोल तो लेने दीजिए. आप बोलने पे भी आजादी नहीं है क्या?
बोलिए सर.
आपकी आस्था बोलने की हमारी आवाज को भी रोक देगी क्या बोलने से आपकी आस्था?
चलिए बोलिए.
ठीक है, आप मेजॉरिटी में, आप बहुसंख्यक समाज में, आपकी आस्था.
Don't play the victim card. Don't play the victim card, sir. No one plays the victim card, please.
I understand that you have that majoritarian privilege. Let me complete. Let me speak out. Let me speak out. बोल तो लेने दीजिए, हमारा दर्द बयान तो कर लेने दीजिए, उसकी भी आजादी नहीं देंगे. अब सुनिए, मैं ये कह रहा हूँ, मेरी प्राइमरी प्ली, मस्जिद कमेटी की प्राइमरी प्ली ये थी कि कमीशन को रोक दिया जाए. अब चूंकि कमीशन का काम पूरा हो गया, उसने अपनी रिपोर्ट सबमिट कर दी है, तो उसके बाद सुनिए बात पूरी होने दीजिए. सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने ये कहा कि कमीशन को अब किस ग्राउंड पर रोकना चाहते हैं. हमारा ग्राउंड ये था कि प्लेसेस ऑफ वर्शिप एक्ट 1991 ये कहती है, उसका सेक्शन 4 क्लॉज 2 ये साफ तौर पे कहता है कि नो लॉ सूट, नो लीगल प्रोसीडिंग्स शुड बी अलाउड इन दीज मैटर्स, in these matters of such worship places. हम ये कहते हैं उसके तहत कोई भी लॉ सूट चलेगा ही नहीं. हम अब भी उस बात पे कायम है. चूंकि हमने एक एप्लीकेशन आपके डिस्ट्रिक्ट जो सिविल कोर्ट थे वहां पे डाला था, सिविल कोर्ट ने उसे एंटरटेन नहीं किया, उसका डिस्पोजल नहीं किया, डायरेक्ट डायरेक्शन दे दिया. तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने यही कहा है डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट से डीएफ का केस ट्रांसफर करके कि जो रूल 7,
ठीक है, हमें पता है सर, मैंने पूरी कहानी समझा दी है. आपका एक छोटा पॉइंट,
तो हमारी बात, तो हमारी जो प्लीज था, हमारा जो मोटिव था, सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने पूरा कर दिया.
अच्छा, पूरा कर दिया. तो ओवैसी साहब की जरा आप सुन लीजिए, वो कितने खफा हैं. लेट्स प्ले आउट मिस्टर असदुद्दीन ओवैसी, who calls himself a barrister at law at Lincoln's in London. That's where he's done his law, he says, and that qualifies him to be an expert on the law. He is disappointed, viewers, today, saying that he was hoping that the Supreme Court would nip this entire issue in the bud,
yes,
because of the grounds that Mr. Ahmadi argued. But here you have, just to prolong the agony for the Hindus, you have Tala Amir, who is trying to suggest that their pleas have been heard. Now, viewers, let me tell you, had there been a stop on this survey, the same group would have come out and claimed vindication. Said, dekhiye, we are absolutely right. Dekhiye, the Hindu side was trying to whip up a communal frenzy. Dekhiye, the Hindu side doesn't respect the law of the land. Today, viewers, their claims have been rejected, yet there are some who will not accept and see the writing on the wall. They will not concede the space. They will not allow the other side to have its way. They are pushing for a face-off, viewers. And then they talk about majoritarianism. Majoritarianism तो ये है, जब कोर्ट ने आपको रिलीफ भी नहीं दी, तभी भी आप standing in the way. That is majoritarianism, viewers, in a different sort of way. Let me first play out what Asaduddin Owaisi said, in case you have forgotten. And let Mr. Tala Amir also listen to this. Suniye.
My disappointment is on this issue that I was expecting that the Supreme Court will nip it in its bud, because this whole 91 Act categorically states that this act was made so that future controversies don't arise. So on that part, I was expecting the Supreme Court would nip it in its bud, because lower court honorable judge was listening to one side of what the petitioners were coming and telling him.
Viewers, that is the truth. At least Mr. Owaisi is telling the truth to some amount. Rizwan Ahmed, who is an advocate and a lawyer, is also here with us. Ishkaran Bhandari. First, lawyers to lawyers. 1 minute, please. Let me bring in Rizwan Ahmed. Rizwan Saab, Tala Amir says, Hamari sari baat maan di. We have come out vindicated from this. Is this a fact, sir? And to what extent?
Thank you so much, Jain Vande Mataram. For convenience of all, I will use English. At one place you were wrong, Rahul, when you said that he's a barrister from England or somewhere. Always remember one thing. Chartered accountant and lawyer are the 2 degrees. If you do from country A and you go to country B, you become redundant. Ambedkar ji and Gandhi ji came to India and they were LLB from India also. Asusuddin did not do LLB from India. That is why he is such an idiot, such a joker as far as law is concerned. Number 1. Number 2, I wish I could make a compilation of his flawed and his failed prediction about law from triple talaq to hijab to 370 to blah blah blah. I think there are a dozen cases where he has failed as a lawyer.
He is a member of parliament of the world's largest democracy. And
Number 2.
An XYZ person who has no introduction.
Sir, in this country, they call the Prime Minister of India. Do you know what they call him? Should I list out some of the names? तब तो आपको गर्मी नहीं लगती
जो बोलता है
नहीं तब तो आपको कोई नहीं लगती then you don't feel then you don't feel that something is being denigrated. He's only called him a joker, sir. That is his prerogative.
ठीक है
My dear child,
he feels that way. He has not abused him.
I am talking about a lawyer, not a member of parliament.
Now, I can't stop a person. If I stop anybody from saying something, then you will accuse me of being undemocratic.
Number 3.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't. I don't understand what to do sometimes. आप लोग इंटरप्ट करते हैं, मैं आपका फेडर डाउन करूं, आप बोले देखे बोलने नहीं देता. मैकडम्स का आदमी है. अब मैं क्या बताऊं?
These people, Rahul, they don't have an iota of common sense, you know, an iota of common sense. In a criminal proceeding, during the proceeding, you can keep on changing the sections as and what the evidences arrive. In a civil proceeding, you make a plaint, you make a petition, and the court listens to that petition only. The moment you change your prayer, you have to come with another petition which will be listened in that backdrop and dismissed or allowed. For God's sake, these lawyers, oh my goodness, from where he did his barristery, I will never send my child to become a barrister. He does not understand the basic thing of law, that this petition is not to change the character of the place of worship, for God's sake. This petition is for a relief X. To change the character of the place is relief Y. On the basis of the evidences generated in this survey, the Hindu party might in the future come up with a new plaint, a new petition, where the prayer will be that this is not a mosque but a mandir and should be handed over to the Muslims. At that stage, this great member of parliament, this barrister, should start talking about 91. He does not know when to put an argument. He is putting a premature argument. And the person Tala sitting over here, he is giving me a lecture how to support a member of parliament. Yes, I say, in Indian democracy, idiots are reaching the parliament. And so is this barrister, whom I call barrister Jailia. Understand? Now go and do whatever you want to do.
Is that what you mean to say? Our Prime Minister is also a member of parliament. Is that what you mean to say? You are calling him names.
Okay, Talami, don't change the subject.
Our democracy is a witness to the fact that criminals have reached the member.
I don't understand. 1 minute, please. I just want to be very clear. I just want to be very clear about one thing. Amir Saab, 1 minute, or jo Rizwan Saab, 1 minute. Listen to me. I don't hear. Look, I can't stop you from saying what you want to say on live TV. I don't have a button that predicts your thoughts. All I can say is I don't underscore any of the personal abuses or jibes that are being made. You are free to make them. It's more a comment on your own arguments, not on me or the channel. I can't stop you. I can only say that let's keep it above board. Let's not get personal. The person is not even here to defend himself. But chalo, bol diya. I don't agree with it. The channel doesn't endorse these views. There is a caveat that I put out. This is very important, viewers. But I cannot stop you people from saying what you want to unless you are pushing the boundaries of decency. And when you do that, then I have to stop you because I'm asked, called upon by the Ministry of INB, their rules to not allow indecency. Now, Iskaran Bhandari, I just want to ask you this question. The relief has not been given. I'm coming to you, Nupurji. I'm coming to the political debate. I just want to get the legal debate out of the way. Trust me on this. Iskaran Bhandari, I just want to ask you a simple question tonight, and this is an important one. If no relief has been given, what is stopping now the masjid side from saying, okay, come and pray. We will give you back the rights that were taken away from you all the way up to 1992. Inka kya jata hai? Will it change something on the ground legally, Iskaran Bhandari?
Rahul, on your debate with Varit, I think 1991, I said this act will not apply in this case. It will not prevent the right of Hindus. He kept quoting some Ram Janambhoomi judgment paragraph, and I kept telling him, please understand the difference between obiter and what is decided by the court. That was not a central part of the dispute. You can play that clip, that is very clear. And now Mr. Owaisi himself, in a way, has admitted that that act has not been applied by the Honorable Supreme Court because it was very obvious it could not be applied in this. Secondly, they had a very specific release. They wanted that for 500 years, they have used the wuzu khana, and in the manner they have used the wuzu khana, they should be able to use it. The court has not given. The court has continued with the interim arrangement that the Honorable Supreme Court made in the last date of hearing. So it is very clear that they have not won anything from the court. What they win in future under Order 7, Rule 11, rejection of plaint, what they don't win, we'll have to see in subsequent hearings. But one big question we have to ask, because majoritarism has been used, victim card has been played.
Yes.
Majoritarism is in where the Hindu population falls by more than 20 percentage points, where in Pakistan it falls to nothing, where in Afghanistan it is over. That is majoritarism. And in independent India, we have to ask this question, that if it is proved that a temple was destroyed by a religious bigot in power, what do we in independent India do? And how do we compensate and how do we ensure justice? This is a question we as a civilization have to ask ourselves all over the world. For example, in US, people who were indulging in slavery, slavers, no matter how prominent they were, their statues are broken down today, even though they were founding fathers of US. So we as a civilization have to ask ourselves the question that if it is proved that a barbarian broke the most holy places, how do we ensure justice?
I want to go straight across to Padmaja Joshi, who has with her now the order copy, and it will be fascinating to read through the order copy because all these people who are making fake claims here on national TV will be exposed. Padmaja Joshi, over to you.
All right, the big takeaways over here, the Supreme Court has today given basically 4 instructions. They have said that the civil suit shall stand transferred from the file of the civil judge senior division to the court of the district judge. That is, all the petitions which were being heard by the civil judge will now be heard by the district judge. Second, the petition filed by the petitioner under Order 7, Rule 11 of the Code of Civil Procedure shall be decided on priority by district judge. Now, what does this Order 7, Rule 11 mean? Which is that when the Muslim side says that the maintainability of the petition which has been filed by the Hindu side has been challenged, that is what will be decided on priority by the district judge as soon as the transfer happens. Since parties are appearing on notice, all orders in the suit shall be passed upon hearing. The interim, so all the parties will be heard now by the district judge, and as far as the order on the maintainability of the survey is concerned, that will be heard on priority. what was said on the 17th of May by Supreme Court shall go on for a period of 8 weeks so as to enable any party which is aggrieved by the order of district judge to pursue its rights and remedies in accordance with law, which means that for a period of 8 weeks, the wuzu khana shall be fenced off. The shivling will, what is claimed as shivling will be protected, and also the namazi should not be hampered. This will be in effect for a period of 8 weeks, and it finally says, unless adequate arrangements for ensuring due observance of wuzu have already been made by DM, we direct the DM in consultation with parties to ensure that appropriate arrangements are made for the religious observance, and the order passed by Civil Judge Senior Division Varanasi on 16 May shall stand subsumed by terms of the order of this court dated 17 May 2022 pending further orders. So that is as far
so,
the Supreme Court has
let's
said.
just be clear about this. Let's just be clear about it. There is no reference here, no reference whatsoever to this 1991 law, which today was trying to be forced into the equation by Mr. Ahmadi to suggest that this entire survey was illegal, ultra virus of Parliament Act, right? Number one. Number two, nothing has been stayed. The survey will go on.
Absolutely. So this is a very important part that you have raised. What Mr. Ahmadi today said in the Supreme Court was that you strike down the survey and you strike down the order, and the survey should be stopped and the plea should be thrown out. However, the Supreme Court said it is not for us to decide the maintainability of a plea, but they have told the district judge that you now will hear that plea on priority. That is what that point number 4 meant, that the district court is now going to decide that plea on priority. The Supreme Court said that's not for us to decide.
No relief, viewers, no relief. The district judge will now decide this matter on merits. It could go on for a few months. We don't know. Till then, the arrangement remains in place. The shivling will be protected. The wuzu khana will be fenced off. However, the namazis will not be inconvenienced. This is fundamentally what has transpired. As I said, viewers, as I began by saying to you, the Muslim side tried to bring this survey to a halt. It hasn't happened. Thank you, Padmaja. Let me go back to the guests very quickly, viewers, and let's go back to all these people who have been misleading us. Zeba Yasmeen, Samajwadi Party. Yes, before that, Ishkaran Bhandari wants to make a point on law. Yes, after having heard the order. Yes.
Point. They wanted specifically, they argued that the survey is void ab initio. The court has not held that. They said all orders, the survey, everything has to be jumped. The court has not jumped that. So Order 7, Rule 11 now will go into what the evidence from the survey came out. That is very vital.
And what is going to be, viewers, when it means maintainability, what is going to be decided by the district judge? Survey of Gyanvapi, whether that is maintainable or not. So you remember, viewers, what Tala Amir was saying to us when he began? He said, oh, because the survey had happened, there was no stay on the survey. No, the matter of the survey is still going to be considered. Tala Amir, you have been exposed. Sorry. Should mosque survey be extended?
Please don't misinterpret the judgment.
Oh, yeah.
Don't misinterpret the judgment.
Oh, right. Okay, sir. It's written there in black and white. There is nothing left to imagination.
I can quote the observation. I can quote the words of the Supreme Court. If you want, I can quote the words. It clearly mentions here, your submission overlaps with the Order 7, Rule 11 application. Our difficulty is that to accept that argument will have to comment on the maintainability of the suit, which has to be decided. Which has to be decided. Their argument is that
yes, which has to be decided, sir. आप खुद ही पढ़ रहे हैं. अब आप खुद ही अटक रहे हैं. ताला अमीर साहब, give it up, sir. Give it up. अब तो order भी आ गया है. अब तो छोड़िए. चलिए. कोई बात नहीं. Fair enough, sir. You're not a lawyer. Please don't try to be someone that you're not. Please, sir. You're not a lawyer. Let me bring in Rizwan Saab. Rizwan Saab.
I am a lawyer, please. I am already a lawyer.
Well, sir, you're a great lawyer. Great. Good for you, sir. But I'm sorry, you're way out of your depth. Rizwan Ahmed, please. Rizwan Ahmed wants to come in. I'm bringing Nupur Sharma right after that. Rizwan Ahmed, yes. Rizwan Ahmed.
Yeah, Rahul, Mr. Talha opened the argument कि ये देश law से चलेगा या आस्था से. Let me explain him patiently that what is Astha and what is a law. And I will quote a Muslim Astha. तला भाई हमारी आस्था है कि हजूर मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम जेरूसलम से मिराज पर एक पत्थर से उठे थे। अब यहां पर दोनों पाते हैं तला भाई, वो आसमानी सफर पर उठे थे या नहीं उठे थे ये आस्था है, लेकिन जिस पत्थर से उठे थे वो टेंजिबल एविडेंस है। काशी में आस्था का आर्गुमेंट नहीं है, काशी में द आर्गुमेंट इज कि दैट प्लेस इज अ मंदिर और अ मस्जिद, दैट इज अ टेंजिबल आर्गुमेंट वेयर यू कैन सी फ्रॉम योर आईज दैट वेदर इट इज अ मस्जिद और अ मंदिर। सो डोंट ब्रिंग आस्था इन बिटवीन। द ज्ञानवापी केस हैज नथिंग टू डू विद आस्था, नथिंग। इट इज अ सिविल सूट बेस्ड ऑन टेंजिबल एविडेंस। अच्छा ये बताओ तुमने लॉ की कहां से, ये बताओ, अरे तुमने लॉ कहां से की है प्रभु, ये बताओ, तुमने लॉ कहां से की है प्रभु, ये बताओ।
आप कौन है सर सर्टिफिकेट देने वाले, वेदर इज अ मुस्लिम और नॉट, हु आर यू ना? आमिर साहब, आपने मुझे खुद बोला था एट द बिगिनिंग ऑफ द डिबेट, लेट समवन फिनिश द पॉइंट। You yourself said, let me finish my point. Whether am I right or wrong, you can contradict me. Let Rizwan Ahmed speak. No, you will not allow him to speak, is it?
Let him speak on the topic of the debate.
He is speaking on the topic. If you listen to him,
no, he's preaching.
He's making
to sum up my argument, Rahul.
No.
Rahul, to sum up my argument.
आप क्या करेंगे सर?
Argument, Ishkaran, and
उनका सर तन से जुदा करेंगे आप? Will you do that? You want to behead him? Let him speak.
Rahul,
don't be intolerant.
Rahul,
देखिए साहब, 1 minute. I am lowering his fader. This is not right.
To sum up my
you yourself
argument,
prayed. You said that allow me to speak and make my point, even though you were speaking absolute, I'm sorry to say, sir, inaccurate facts. I allowed you to speak and then I corrected you on facts. Now the order is out. You don't want to accept the order. It's fine. You don't have to. It's okay. The debate is a larger question here. Be accommodating at least. But when someone else is speaking, you want to shut them down. You say, I will not accept it. What kind of democrat are you? What kind of law-abiding citizen are you? Freedom of speech and expression is a freedom guaranteed by the law of this land. Shut him down, please. Lower his fader, Nizam Bhai. This gentleman is passing comments also on who's a Muslim and who's not a Muslim. This is not right. Yes, go ahead. 1 second. I want to bring in Nupur right after. Yes, Rizwan Ahmed, make your point. Finish your point.
Rahul Bhai, Ishkaran and Nupur will agree with me that as a lawyer, if the opposite party is making an argument which is running into ours, that the other lawyer will keep shut and only keep on noting the points. और ये अपने आप को वकील बोलते हैं जिनमें 5 मिनट का नहीं 30 सेकंड का पेशेंस नहीं है इनमें। इनको ये नहीं पता होगा कि वकालतनामा पे साइन कैसे करवाया जाता है और बता रहे हैं मैं लॉयर हूं। शर्म आनी चाहिए आपको। लॉयर की ये तमीज होती है।
Let's not make this personal. Forget it. Sir, you don't have to respond personally to this gentleman. He has tried to get under your skin and completely defray this debate. Let's not do that. Nupur Sharma, I want to bring you in. The charge against the BJP made by this committee and Ahmadi, who was arguing for this committee, is that you're creating a narrative.
Rahul, good evening to you, to co-panelists and also to your viewers. There are 3-4 short points I want to make. As far as this Ulema Council's lawyer, God knows where he got his law degree from, is concerned, did you pay attention how he started by saying that the rule of the law should be upheld, not ye astha se desh nahi chalega, but at the same time, within 25 minutes, he actually dropped down to declaring whether Mr. Rizwan is actually a Muslim or not. तो किस तरीके से कानून से बात शुरू हुई और धर्म पे आके अटक गई, सबने देख लिया। पॉइंट नंबर 2, मेजॉरिटेरियनिज्म की बात करी। बताइए, कानून से देश चला था, आस्था से? जब शाह बानो के जजमेंट के बाद किस तरीके से पार्लियामेंट हैड टू नील डाउन, द राजीव गांधी गवर्नमेंट हैड टू नील डाउन, और शरद बानो फॉर दैट मैटर, इवन अयोध्या जजमेंट, हाउ you and the likes of you rather openly threatened the discretion of the Honorable Supreme Court. There have been umpteen such instances. But हाँ, कानून से आज देश चल रहा है, तो कृपया करके आदरणीय सर्वोच्च न्यायालय की सूझबूझ के ऊपर उंगली ना उठाइए। पॉइंट नंबर 3, You know, section 242 पढ़ लिया, section 4 सब provision 3 proviso ये तो पढ़ लेते, तब तो पता चलता कि कानून है क्या असलियत में. Point number 4, हर वकील को पता होता है राहुल, Order 7 Rule 11, the petition, the application of maintainability is actually decided further. Maintainability decide होगी तभी तो merits पे केस जाएगा, तो कोई बहुत ज़्यादा कोई fantastic observation नहीं दिया, ऐसा होता ही है. Because maintainability is usually decided before the case can be argued on merits. And most importantly, what did you miss, Rahul? Did you miss that Mr. Owaisi's language was the same as Mr. Ahmadi actually used before, or rather employed before Justice Chandrachud today? He also said, my plea is all this exercise needs to be nipped in the bud. And this exactly was not allowed by Honorable Mr. Justice Chandrachud before the Honorable Supreme Court. Their main prayer was to dismiss the survey or stay the survey. Their main prayer was to dismiss the suit in toto. It wasn't allowed. And forget us, it is private worshippers. And I'm just going to say one last thing and a food for thought, which Rahul, you may find interesting. 1991, this Places of Worship Act was passed, a political gimmick rather. And before that, Shringar Gauri Puja was allowed every day, more regularly and frequently rather. After this act was passed by Narasimha Rao government, in 1992, Mulayam Singh Yadav, furthering the political agenda, put a stop, in fact limited the prayers offered to once a year. Now please tell me and pray tell me, under the Instant Places of Worship Act 1991, isn't the order passed by the Mulayam Singh government in violation of the 1991 Act itself? Does not that change the very character of offering prayers of Shringar Gauri in the Gyanvapi Parisar?
Well, that is a valid point. I have to concede.
I need to respond.
I have to, no, 1 second. Tala Amir Saab, let the others also speak. दूसरे लोग भी आए. आप भूल गए होंगे, थोड़ा टॉलरेंट भी होइए. ज़ेबा यास्मीन मैडम भी हैं, इमाम एसोसिएशन के हमारे बहुत अच्छे प्रवक्ता भी हैं, वो भी बैठे हैं. राशिदी साहब, उनसे भी थोड़ी बात कर लेते हैं. ज़ेबा यास्मीन, the time has now come perhaps to be accommodating. The matter will go on. We already know what the survey is saying. The maintainability of the survey is not really in question because on a very fine point of law, Justice Chandrachud, and you are live tonight at 8:30, madam. You have read the order. On a fine point of law, Justice Chandrachud has come out and made a point. He said there are hybrid nature of places of worship and not unknown in India. Ascertainment of religious character of a place is not a violation under section 3 of the 1991 Act. Direction एक किस्म से मिल गई है. And therefore the district judge is unlikely to say anything different or ever different from what Justice Chandrachud has said in this hearing. So Zeba Yasmeen, we know perhaps what will happen. Why don't you allow the petitioners to worship? क्या जाता है?
See, Rahul, a very sweet gesture of yours. Why don't you allow, as if I am going to allow here only? But see, when two parties, they go to the court, obviously they have differences. That is why they are going. And then we expect one of the party to adjust and compromise before the verdict comes. How is it possible? It's not at all possible. When two parties are fighting in the cause, they do not accept each other's point until the verdict comes. This is the fight. So I guess both the sides should be heard by the court.
Zeba Yasmeen, madam, आप हिस्ट्री भूल गई हैं. 1992 तक, till 1992, the worshipping was allowed every day. बदला इसीलिए क्योंकि कांग्रेस सरकार ने थोड़ी गेम खेली. समाजवादी पार्टी जो आपकी पार्टी है, उनके जो मुखिया हैं, उन्होंने डिसाइड कर दिया जो कांग्रेस कह रही थी हम एक्सेप्ट कर लेते हैं. क्योंकि आपके जो लीडर थे, he was known by the name of मुलाना. नहीं, आपके जो लीडर थे उस दफा तुष्टीकरण की राजनीति में माहिर थे. He was only out there appeasing people. And let me tell you, Miss Yasmeen, he was called Maulana Mulayam for this reason. So why don't you give the space to another community to do their thing? That is what a secular democracy is all about.
So Rahul, that means 1991 से अभी तक what Mulayam Singh ji was doing, what Congress was doing, Supreme Court had no role. This is what you want to say?
It had no role. The Parliament passed the law. Do you know?
It was helpless, disabled.
Madam, the Supreme Court has no role in what the Parliament does unless you challenge the law. ये तो basics है. हमारे देश में there is something called separation of powers.
Everybody had, whatever was being done, everybody had a right to oppose. It is always there, whosoever governments is there.
But it wasn't opposed, now it has been opposed.
No, so we have no problem.
So why don't you go back to precedent? There is a precedent.
We have, if somebody is opposing,
viewers,
we have
listen
no
to me.
problem.
Viewers, 1 minute. Let me tell you this.
Side.
This is really interesting. I was reading some articles today written by some Latvian journalists, lobbyists, call them what you want to. Viewers, you know what they were saying? The Mathura, you see, temple. That case is going back on a 1968 agreement between the two parties. So agreement is okay there in 1968 with regards to the Mathura Eidgah Masjid Rao. But here agreement is not acceptable. Look at the double standards, viewers. This is what I'm saying. You want to uphold an agreement between communities in that Mathura issue, but here you don't want to agree between two communities, even though there is precedent of an agreement between the two communities. Muslims allowed Hindus till 1992 every day to come and pray to Gauri Ma Shingar. There's no problem.
India is, this unity, India is known for this unity only. And
so then show the unity, be magnanimous.
Let me.
मौलाना साहब, मैं आपसे पूछ रहा हूँ, इमाम काउंसिल के आप, एसोसिएशन के आप चीफ हैं, स्पोक्स पर्सन हैं, लेट मी आस्क यू, हिंदुओं को आप अलाउ कीजिए, 1992 तक वो बेचारे आते थे वहां पर, क्या प्रॉब्लम है?
मैं कौन होता हूँ अलाउ करने वाला या आप कौन होते हैं अलाउ करने वाले?
देखिए साहब,
ये तो कोर्ट डिसाइड करेगा ना।
अरे 1992 तक तो आपने अलाउ किया था।
दो चीजें सुनिए, आपने मुझे 35 मिनट के, अरे मैंने नहीं अलाउ किया था।
30 साल बाद इतनी नफरत?
सुनिए बात,
ये क्यों?
दो पॉइंट सुनिए, आप मुझे 2 पॉइंट सुनिए, 2 पॉइंट सुनिए। नफरत क्या है क्या नहीं है उसको छोड़ दीजिए, नफरत तो जो फैल रहा है और फैला रहा है वो सब दुनिया देख रही है। दो पॉइंट सुनिए। एक तो याचिकाकर्ता ने इस अपनी याचिका के अंदर इस बात को एक्सेप्ट किया है कि ये मस्जिद है, लेकिन इसका जो वक्फ में रजिस्ट्रेशन है वो रजिस्ट्रेशन गलत है। याचिकाकर्ता ने इसको माना है, नंबर 1। नंबर 2, 1937 में दीन मोहम्मद वर्सेस स्टेट का केस आप पढ़िए, उसका जो जजमेंट है, उसका जजमेंट है कि ये मस्जिद हनफी वक्फ बोर्ड की है, सालों साल से इसमें नमाज हो रही है और यहाँ पर उर्स भी होता है। ये 1937 का फैसला है। दूसरी बात, 1991 में जो एक्ट आया, आज जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने उस पर एक टिप्पणी की है और ये कहा है कि भाई इसको डिस्ट्रिक्ट जज सुनेगा 1991 का,
नहीं,
कि ये मस्जिद उसके अंदर आती भी है कि नहीं आती।
You have got it completely wrong. ये गलत कह रहे हैं आप। 1991 का एक्ट तो कहीं है ही नहीं।
मुसलमान हार गए।
आप सर गलत टोपी पहन रहे हैं आज। आप लॉयर की टोपी ना पहनिए, आप उलेमा काउंसिल के हेड हैं, आप इमाम एसोसिएशन के हेड हैं, आप वही टोपी पहनिए। डोंट ट्राई टू एक्सचेंज योर कैप्स। आई एम सॉरी टू से, गलत टाइम मत वेस्ट कीजिए सर। मैंने आपसे एक छोटा सवाल पूछा, अभी भी आप मैग्नानिमस हो सकते हैं।
आप अपनी थिंकिंग को देखिए, आपकी थिंकिंग इतनी गंदी है कि आप जो है गालियां दिलवा रहे हैं लोगों को बिठा के, इतनी गंदी सोच है आपकी। ये आप जर्नलिज्म कर रहे हैं?
गालियां क्या दिलवा रहे हैं?
शर्म नहीं आती?
You are wearing, sir, the hat of a cleric and you are speaking like a lawyer. That's all I'm saying. What is the problem there?
और आप लोगों को गालियां दिलवा रहे हैं।
आप यहाँ लेक्चर मत दीजिए, आप थोड़ा काम की बात कीजिए। If you don't want to have if you don't want to debate on the point, don't debate on the point. But don't come here and pull things. I'm sorry, sir. आपको कोई यहाँ एक पॉजिटिव पॉइंट बनाने का, आपको कोई यहाँ पर, you don't have one point to make which is positive. Don't give me lecture on journalism, sir. I've asked you a question. You can't answer a question. Maulana Sajid Rashid, you want to fight? You can fight, but I'm not getting engaged in this fight. I'm lowering your fader. I want to quickly go across to Ishkaran Bhandari on a point of law. Mr. Bhandari just clarified to these individuals who are constantly coming out here and misrepresenting facts, trying to be who they are not. Each one of them aspires to be a lawyer. Make the point.
One person will play a victim card, the other person will say an outright falsehood. Nobody on this debate has abused anybody. Maybe the arguments were sharp, but there was no abuse. Let us be very clear. There was a specific argument made that all the orders, including the order appointing an advocate commissioner, the order which gave a survey, everything had to go because Places of Worship Act barred it. These were specific arguments. The order you have put it on the screen, the order speaks for itself. The court did not agree with it. The district court will decide as per law. And also one more point. The language used in that is to decide Order 7, Rule 11 on priority. It has not said that Order 7, Rule 11 will be decided first. Priority and first are what is the priority? We will see what happens in the district court. And lastly,
you can make all the presumptions and assumptions about the operation of the Supreme Court as per your own convenience.
And lastly, I'm saying one thing. It's a simple English. Please understand English. Read the word language used in the order. And
yes. Now, after teaching me law, you are going to teach me English. Someone was teaching me religion, you are teaching me law, someone will teach me English.
The last thing here is that they have made a statement that once the case comes to court, only after the court order does the party obey it. No, very often parties mediate the matter and settle the matter if they want to settle it. If they want to contest it, they should. The court orders will come. But it is wrong to say that once the case starts, it's never mediated.
Well, let me tell you, viewers, it's quite simple. From the responses that you've heard, this is going to be a protracted, bitter fight in court. It can all be avoided. There are two routes. The central government can either reappeal the 1991 Act, and I wish they would, but they won't do that. Or, viewers, the two sides can sit down and say, let's go back to the 1992 situation where the Hindu side was allowed to worship. Till then, there was no problem. But politics was played. The Hindu side was deprived of its right. Then came in an act of parliament which was thrust in everyone's face. And the Hindu side went back to going to this particular place for their worship just twice a year, viewers. Today the Hindu side says, restore our rights. We only want to worship. We don't want your mosque. We are not taking it over. Just want to worship. But it is not acceptable. This is tolerance, viewers. This is a definition. One-way street. I leave it at that. I leave it at that. We move on. Navjot Singh Sidhu, viewers, today surrendered finally after a lot of drama. His counsel Abhishek Manu Singhvi in the Supreme Court tried to attract the attention and say that, look, we would want to buy some time for Mr. Sidhu to surrender because he's not feeling too well. Viewers, as you know, you have been seeing Mr. Sidhu astride Big Elephant in Punjab, campaigning, protesting against the policies. Yesterday he was riding this elephant. Today, suddenly, his counsel comes out and says that he's sick and therefore give us some time to surrender, some weeks to surrender. The court, thank goodness, did not accept this, viewers, and finally put an end to this farce that was being played out. And Mr. Sidhu has had to surrender. You can see those pictures. After trying to dodge, surrendered. He had in fact tweeted yesterday that he would obey the majesty of the law. Today he had obviously a change of heart. He can file a curative petition, obviously, viewers. Everyone is entitled to do so. But he wasn't going to do that. Curative petitions are very exceptionally heard in any case. So today he's arrested. Now, viewers, this is a man convicted in a road rage incident for punching somebody, and that person dies. The question is, and it is being asked, whether the Congress party will act against their member and whether they will rusticate him. He's a convict now in a very serious case of violence. Here is what the BJP was saying, and here's what the Congress has been saying.
One side they say 34 years, and on the other side, once the judgment has come, They vaguely say on medical grounds 3-4 weeks. We opposed it. The Honorable Bench observed, Justice Khanvilkar, that look, we are sitting in a different combination. There is no application before us. If you so choose, you may file an application and let the Honorable Chief Justice constitute a bench. Please, I make it once clear, very clear. The bench did not say that you are permitted to file an application. You may file an application, that is his right.
Mr. Sidhu on 18th of May was fit enough to ride on an elephant and participate in a political protest. But on 20th of May, his medical condition has deteriorated and he needs more time. This is rubbing salt into the wounds of the victim's family. But what is a bigger mockery is that Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Vadra and the Congress party, who love Navjot Singh Sidhu, perhaps because he has hugged Bajwa, because he considers Imran Khan as his Baijan, have not taken a decision of sacking him and making him exit the party even till now. And they continue to give him patronage. And because of this, he continues to treat the law like a joke.
Viewers, another big story. Former media executive and mogul Indrani Mukerjea walked out of Baikula prison after the CBI court allowed her release on furnishing a bond of rupees 2 lakhs. Now, she is the prime accused in the murder case of her own daughter, Sheena Bora. It's murder most foul. And she was lodged in jail for over 6 years. Viewers, the case, when it first hit the headlines, dominated the headlines for many days as shocking details of the conspiracy were revealed, is in fact Indrani Mukerjea's own stepson. The stepson, in fact, was dating Indrani Mukerjea's daughter, Sheena Bora. Viewers, today as Indrani Mukerjea walked out of jail, she was smiling. She flashed a victory sign, and we're going to show you some of those pictures. There she is. She was in a Mercedes. She had even completely changed her look. And she looked in fine fettle. In fact, this is what she said when the reporters caught up with her and they tried to interview her. This is what she said. Listen in.
आप अभी काफी खुश हैं, क्या कहना चाहेंगी? अभी घर पे जा रही हैं, किस तरफ जा रही हैं?
घर जा रही हूँ अभी। घर जा रही हूँ अभी।
और क्या कहना चाहेंगी?
फिलहाल तो कुछ नहीं।
आगे का क्या प्लान है?
अभी कुछ प्लान अभी कुछ नहीं है। अभी फिलहाल अभी जाके अपना घर जाना है बस।
मैम बहुत लंबा वक्त रहा, आगे की शुरुआत कैसी होगी? आप बुक भी लिख रही थी इस पर।
अभी मैं कुछ प्लान नहीं कर रही हूँ, अभी आगे जाके पहले घर तो पहुँचूं, फिर उसके बाद देखती हूँ।
Indrani, really all the best to you for this.
Thank you.
But I wanted to ask you was, do you blame anyone for this particular incident?
It's all, it's all forgotten.
6.5 years of yours lost.
Empathy and forgiveness. I've forgiven all the people who have hurt me, that's all. So.
Is there anything you learned in the jail, prison?
Lots.
What?
Lots. Next interview.
Viewers, several witnesses are yet to be questioned. Almost 80 plus witnesses are yet to be questioned. Let's straight away speak to Mr. Mukul Rohtgi, who has represented Indrani Mukerjea. Mr. Rohtgi, thank you very much for speaking to us. Yes, the trial will take some more years perhaps to complete, but many witnesses are yet to be examined. She's accused of murder, Mr. Rohtgi, even destruction of evidence. What's the basis to believe that she will not seek to tamper this evidence or influence the witness, Mr. Rohtgi?
Please understand, these are only accusations. The prosecution always alleges that the accused is an important person, accused is influential, accused will do this, accused will do that. But there has to be some basis for an accusation, no? There is no basis for any accusation that she will tamper with the witnesses and all that. Just by saying doesn't mean that there is any reality to it. The court has looked at everything and then come to a conclusion that she should be entitled to bail. I mean, that's all there is to it in this case.
Some people, Mr. Rohtgi, are saying this is not justice. Ms. Mukerjea has also made some startling claims like Sheena Bora is alive. She has not given any proof to suggest this. The CBI is known to have already ended the investigations. Witnesses are yet to be questioned. That's one of the reasons why there are apprehensions. I just want to ask you, do you think this is justice? Do you think justice will even be done?
Please, as I'm telling you, a person is believed to be innocent till he is convicted. So 6.5 years has gone only in an accusation. And whether she is alive or she is not alive, that some court will decide. The Supreme Court is only concerned with bail. And every day Supreme Court grants bail. Look at the bail granted to the assassin of late Rajiv Gandhi. He has spent 30 years in jail. After being convicted up to the Supreme Court, he has been released by the Supreme Court under special powers of the Supreme Court. I mean, every case has to be judged on its own facts. So, I mean, you should not make it out as if it's the biggest bail ever granted or something like that. I mean, it's granted after 6.5 years.
Okay.
I jolly well think that she has suffered enough.
Suffered enough.
Whatever be the ultimate end of this case.
Well, she's certainly come out smiling, viewers, and has said that she's forgiven everybody. Many people will say that she's the perpetrator. So who is there actually to forgive? Nonetheless, we leave it to that. Mr. Rothki, thank you for speaking to us tonight. Let me go straight across, viewers, to a short break. We return with the Bug News.
Times now. Action begins here.
मैं आपसे पूछना चाहती हूँ, आप पर सेडिशन का केस लगा, आपके ऊपर चार्ज था कि आप लॉ एंड ऑर्डर तोड़ रही थी, आप 2 हफ्ते जेल में भी रही। मैं आपसे पूछना चाहती हूँ सबसे पहले कि हर इंसान, और यही शिवसेना का कहना है, संजय राउत ने स्टेटमेंट भी दिया है कि जिसको हनुमान चालीसा पढ़ना है वो मंदिर जाए, वो अपने घर में पढ़े, वो अपने पूजा रूम में पढ़े, जहाँ मर्जी पढ़े। लेकिन ये आह्वान करना कि हम मातोश्री के सामने जाएंगे, कहीं ना कहीं कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल पोजीशन है चीफ मिनिस्टर की, ये थोड़ा लाइन क्रॉस करता है। और ऐसा कोर्ट ने भी कहा है कि लाइन क्रॉस की है क्योंकि आप पब्लिक रिप्रेजेंटेटिव हैं, आपको सुनकर आपके वोटर्स होते हैं, लोग साथ जुड़ जाएंगे तो लॉ एंड ऑर्डर सिचुएशन होगी। इसमें क्या गलत है?
मुझे लगता है गलत तो उन लोगों ने की है। जब उनके लोग हमारे घर तक पहुंचते हैं तो हम रेड कारपेट बिछाते हैं, तो क्या हम रिप्रेजेंटेटिव नहीं है? हमने तो ये नहीं कहा कि मातोश्री के घर के अंदर जाएंगे, कोई किसी के भी प्राइवेट रेजिडेंस में जाने के लिए हमें राइट्स नहीं है, पर रोड पे तो हर कोई व्यक्ति जो उस शहर का, इस सिटी का रहने वाला है, मुंबई का है, वो तो हर रोड का यूज कर सकता है। और जो गलत सही बता रहे हैं, सेडिशन कहाँ लगता है हनुमान चालीसा में? 124A देशद्रोह हनुमान चालीसा में लगता है क्या? मुझे बताइए। गुंडे तो उन्होंने जमा किए थे, हम तो भक्ति से जा रहे थे, और भक्ति करने वाले
लोग होते।
मेरे साथ तो लोग, हमने उसी दिन कह दिया कि कोई लोग आएगा नहीं, मैं और विधायक हम 2 ही जाएंगे। हमने खुलेआम प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में कहा, हमारे लोगों को रुकाया, हमारे लोगों को मुंबई तक नहीं आने दिया, और हम सिर्फ जाएंगे, यही अनाउंसमेंट हुई थी। जब हम नहीं गए,
आप अकेले जाने वाली थी?
हम अकेले जाने वाले, यस, हम दोनों अकेले ही जाने वाले थे।
मुझे तो ये बोलना है, राज्य के मुख्यमंत्री है, पूरी कायदा सुव्यवस्था उनके हाथ में है। उन्होंने जब हमको 149 का नोटिस दिया, बॉम्बे आने के बाद हमको वहीं पे डिटेन किया, घर के अंदर डिटेन करने के बाद खुद उद्धव ठाकरे जी अगर शिवसेना के लोगों को मातोश्री के बाहर जमा करते, खुद भी वहाँ पे आते, कुछ लोग हमारे घर पे हमला करते, फतरे मारते, नारेबाजी करते, हमारा बारे में गलत शब्द की घोषणाएं करते, मुझे लगता है कि महाराष्ट्र के मुख्यमंत्री को पुलिस पे भरोसा नहीं है। जब पुलिस ने हमको डिटेन किया है, 149 की नोटिस दिए, 200 पुलिस हमारे घर के नीचे खड़े, 10, 15, 20 पुलिस हमारे घर के अंदर बैठे, खुद डीसीपी आके बैठे, मातोश्री के पास पुलिस बंदोबस्त है, उसके बाद राज्य के मुख्यमंत्री ने शिवसैनिकों को जमा करना, हमारे ऊपर हमला करना, हमारे ऊपर दादागिरी करना, हमको गाली गलौज देना, ये राज्य के मुख्यमंत्री को शोभा देता है क्या? यानी कायदा सुव्यवस्था बिगाड़ने का काम हमने नहीं किया, उन्होंने किया है। और उन्होंने गालियां दी, ये बता दिया कि हम
Times now. Action begins here.
वेलकम टू फ्रैंकली स्पीकिंग। नमस्कार और आपका स्वागत है। और हिमंता बिस्वा शर्मा जी, आप असम के मुख्यमंत्री हैं। सबसे पहले तो आपको बधाई कि आपने अपना 1 साल का टेन्योर पूरा किया है और आज हम असम के बारे में और देश के बारे में बात करेंगे। ये 1 साल आप किस चीज से इसको मार्क करते हैं कि इस 1 साल में सबसे सिग्निफिकेंट, सबसे जरूरी चीज आपने क्या की है?
देखिए, काफ़ी चीज़ हुआ है असम में। कोई चीज़ हमारा पर्सपेक्टिव से बहुत अच्छा हुआ है, कोई चीज़ नेशनल पर्सपेक्टिव से अच्छा हुआ है, लेकिन कुल मिला के हमने जो मैनिफेस्टो में बोला था, लगभग सारा काम को हमने गति दिया है और कुल मिला के सेटिस्फाइंग 1 ईयर रहा।
लेकिन लोग कहते हैं कि देश में बीजेपी ने कुछ पिछले 2-4 महीनों से ऐसा माहौल बना दिया है कि सब जगह हिंदू मुस्लिम हो रहा है।
देखिए, हमारा देश में हिंदू का या भारतीय का वो तो माहौल हर वक्त हर समय रहना सही है, उसमें प्रॉब्लम क्या है?
क्योंकि ये देश सबका है। क्यों हिजाब, क्यों यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड, क्यों लाउड स्पीकर, क्यों हनुमान चालीसा, क्यों ज्ञानवापी, ये सब मुद्दे इकट्ठे आते हैं।
देखिए, ये सारा मामला भारत में है। पहले राम मंदिर का मामला था, सुलझ गया, अभी नहीं आते हैं। जो पेंडिंग मामला है, ये सारे मामले आते रहेगा और ये सारा मामले में सब जातियों का हित है। अभी जैसे राम मंदिर सुलझ गया, एक बहुत बड़ा फॉल्ट लाइन का समाधान हो गया, तो ये सब बात
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The Gyanvapi Kashi Vishwanath tussle is all but settled, believe the faithfuls. Today, the Supreme Court decided not to intervene in the survey of the Gyanvapi mosque complex. The 3-judge bench said that we need a sense of balance and calm on the ground and frayed nerves must be settled down, which is why it decided to not intervene at this stage and instead put the ball in the court of the district court judge. For the next 2 months, the interim order of the top court stays, which means the shivling-like structure remains protected and Muslims will be allowed to offer namaz. The Hindu side claims vindication. They say the fact that the survey has not been thrown out is proof that there is credence to the claims of a shivling's presence. Listen in to one of the petitioners.
जो पक्ष है वो अभी भी कह रहा है कि ये शिवलिंग नहीं है, एक फाउंटेन है। आज की उनकी आर्ग्यूमेंट भी इसी आधार पर थी, तो इसको लेकर आप क्या कहती हैं?
देखिए, ये क्यों कह रहे हैं ये तो मेरी समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, लेकिन आप ही सोचिए, क्या किसी मंदिर में कोई फाउंटेन क्यों बनाएगा? वो तो अब पूरा प्रूफ भी हो रहा है कि वो मंदिर है, तो मंदिर में फाउंटेन का क्या काम? मंदिर की दीवारें देख लीजिए, ऐसा कौन जगह है जहाँ सबूत नहीं है? ऐसी कोई भी कोना नहीं है, ऐसा कोई भी दीवार नहीं है, ऐसा कोई भी जगह नहीं है जहाँ पे आपको सबूत नहीं दिखेंगे।
But the Muslim side is not ready to give up just yet. They claim this is in fact their victory, that the civil court case was transferred to a higher court even though it's still in Varanasi. They're still vehemently denying the shivling-like structure. They say it's nothing but a fountain. Listen in.
ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जजमेंट जो है वो स्वागत योग्य है। सिविल जज सीनियर डिवीजन की कोर्ट से डिस्ट्रिक्ट जज साहब की कोर्ट में इस मुकदमे को ट्रांसफ़र करने का जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट का ऑर्डर हुआ है, उससे कम इतना तो लगता है कि सिविल जज साहब के यहाँ से जितने भी ऑर्डर पास किए गए वो ऑर्डर अकॉर्डिंग टू लॉ नहीं थे, और कहीं न कहीं से यह डायरेक्टली या इनडायरेक्टली सिविल जज सीनियर डिवीज़न के जो पीओज़ हैं उन्होंने जो कार्रवाइयाँ की हैं उससे भी ऐसा लगता है कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट वाज डिससेटिस्फाइड।
सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने इसे तस्लीम नहीं कर लिया है कि हाँ ये शिवलिंग ही है। कोर्ट ने तस्लीम नहीं किया, अभी ज़ेर समाअत है और विचाराधीन है अभी कोर्ट में। इसलिए इतना तो हम ज़रूर कहेंगे कि जो सूरत हाल नई पैदा कर दी गई है तो बस वो सूरत हाल पैदा कर दी गई, हकीकत से उसका कोई ताल्लुक़ नहीं है। वो फव्वारा था और फव्वारा ही रहेगा। अब उस हाउस के अंदर शिवलिंग होने का कहीं दूर दूर से भी कोई तसव्वुर नहीं है। और जिन दावों की बुनियाद पर ये शिवलिंग होने का दावा किया जा रहा है, बात कही जा रही है, उसमें भी कोई दम और हकीकत नहीं है।
The most important observation the Supreme Court made today was about the 1991 Places of Worship Act. It said a ascertainment of the religious character may not necessarily fall foul of Section 3 of this act. Some would say that observation can now open a Pandora's box and pave the way for many more such petitions. And the man who refused to accept the verdict in Ayodhya case is disappointed yet again. Listen in to AIMIM Chief Asaduddin Owaisi.
My disappointment is on this issue that I was expecting that the Supreme Court will nip it in its bud, because this whole 91 Act categorically states that this act was made so that future controversies don't arise. So on that part, I was expecting the Supreme Court would nip it in its bud, because lower court honorable judge was listening to one side of what the petitioners were coming and telling him.
So the legitimate question we are asking on the news hour, is it time to accept the Gyanvapi truth? That's the question, and the hashtag SC Gyanvapi order. That's the debate on the other side.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
And joining me on the debate tonight, Vishnu Jain, lawyer for the petitioners, Sanjay Hegde, senior advocate, Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, member of parliament and national spokesperson of the BJP, Rahul Ishwar, activist, Vinod Bansal, national spokesperson of the VHP, Dr. T.A. Rahmani, president of the MPCI, Atikur Rahman, Islamic scholar, and Mohammad Asif Hussain Sohail, a political analyst, supports the AIMIM. My first question goes to Mr. Sanjay Hegde. And Mr. Sanjay Hegde, I want to ask you, can Mr. Asaduddin Owaisi go ahead and say that he's disappointed because the lower courts were listening to only one side, yet the Supreme Court hasn't restrained them? The fact is the Supreme Court has blown holes into their defense of the 1991 Act, that it doesn't stop the survey, and secondly transferred the matter back to Varanasi without taking a position. Do you think that the basic defense today of the Muslim side has gone, Ori?
Well, firstly, Mr. Owaisi is entitled to say what he wants. He's a free citizen. Somebody else may have another view. Today, what has happened is a technical thing. The Supreme Court says that, look, there is an interim order. We have substituted our own interim order. We also think that the matter should go to a judge who is more senior and more experienced, and they have transferred it. Now, even in the previous interim order, I think it is a bit of lazy thinking to say that the Supreme Court recognized that there was a shivling. It says in the place stated, in a place where a shivling is stated to have been found. There is no finding that there is a shivling. There is no real finding today. The question, there is an observation in arguments. It's an oral observation which is not reflected in the order. The oral observation is that yes, you cannot change the religious character of a place. That is what the Act prohibits. But an inquiry, it's an open question as to whether that too is barred. the Supreme Court is very careful, not only in this matter, but in all other matters. Whenever it is dealing with an interim order, it attempts not to give a finality by saying anything to the course of any litigation before the lower courts. So it has essentially said that, look, whatever is the status currently, let us restrict it. Let us keep that area where an object is said to be found.
So Sanjay
safe.
Hegde, I quite understand what you are trying to say. The Supreme Court has given only an interim order. My question to you is very straightforward, and I want to ask you, the prayers were two. One, that the 1991 Act disallows the process that is on in Varanasi, which has not been upheld by the Supreme Court. And number two, there was a prayer to stay the activity of the survey and the opening of the videography and the pictures that had been submitted. The Supreme Court has not stayed that as well. Of course, this is not a final order. But don't you think both the basic prayers have been rejected, and therefore, at least the Muslim side, which was expecting a relief, hasn't got it?
Well, I can't help whether one side or the other has any expectations, by the by. Secondly, I do not appear on any side in the matter. I am only interpreting the proceedings as a man of law, as an interested man of law, watching from the sidelines. So today, what was hoped on one side was, as to use Mr. Owaisi's words, that the trouble would be nipped in the bud. That has clearly not happened. Now, if you want to get it into a victory for one side or a defeat for another, I think that would be unfair. Long ago, a journalist once told me, just 1 minute, Navika, before you interrupt. A journalist once told me that they all classified Supreme Court stories into Jhatka, Fatka and Rahat. Only 3 words. So
what is it? Jhatka, what do you think it is? Jhatka, Fatka, kyunki Rahat to mili nahi.
No, I don't get into hashtags. As a man of law, I can only interpret what is stated in the order, and currently I don't take any sides. Okay. So who got a Jhatka, who got a Fatka, there is the rest of your panel to go to.
All right. Vishnu Jain, आपको तो झटका नहीं लगा, आपको फटका भी नहीं लगा, तो ये जो राहत की बात थी, the people who were seeking rahat, they didn't get it. So how do you look at the court order and what the court says today?
See, Mr. Sanjay Hegde has very beautifully put it, and I think no one can match that standard. But I would just say that there were 3 orders which were under challenge before the Supreme Court. The first order was of 18/8, which has appointed the commissioner. The second order was of videography of the entire area. And the third order was that their application under Order 7, Rule 11 should be decided. Now, what they are missing here is this, that at page 12 of the impugned order, of the order of the High Court of 21st of April, the High Court has categorically directed that the application of 711 will be decided. So the same thing the Honorable Supreme Court has also reiterated. And we are also saying that, yes, let's decide 711. Let's get this dead and buried forever, that whether our suit is maintainable or not. The very important point, Navika, which you have mentioned is this, that Justice Chandrachud, because we are just discussing as a legal panel, as a panelist, Justice Chandrachud and the Honorable Supreme Court has made an observation that the religious character of the party in question has to be determined. And that is the point which we were trying to make. Now, all these questions will be decided before the Honorable District Judge. But what the other leaders and Mr. Owaisi and everyone is saying from the Muslim side, what they are arguing, that boss, you don't have the right to approach the court. What is the crux of Places of Worship Act? I must ask myself. The crux is that you cannot create these controversies. You cannot go to the court, and the doors of the courts are closed for me. Mr. Hegde is sitting here. We all know that the right to judicial remedy is also the basic structure of the Constitution.
The right to approach the court is also, the right to judicial review is also a fundamental right, and that cannot be taken away. The argument by the Muslim side is that please take away that right. Don't raise these issues before the court of law, which I think is absolutely erroneous, and it is not good for any healthy democracy. We are ready to argue, we are ready to test our arguments in the courts of law. But you cannot say that, Mr. Jain, just shut your mouth. You can't raise these arguments in the court of law. That can never happen in a healthy democracy. And that is precisely what our argument is. And that's why Supreme Court has left it open to the district judge, Varanasi. We have no problem, Navika, whether the district judge decides it, whether the High Court decides it, which judge decides it. We have no problem. It is the Muslim side who is casting aspersions on the judge. Even in Ram Mandir case, we have seen it time and again. So I am to always saying, and my parties, my clients have always said, that let the matter be decided. We are not going to bench hunt. We are not going to choose the forum. But there should be a remedy. There should be a forum where all these voices should be agitated. That's our precise point.
Absolutely. So let me ask Mr. Mohammad Sohail. Sohail Saab, Mr. Owaisi wanted this entire issue to be nipped in the bud. And for the last 3 days, he's been saying, oh, the judge where this is going, he's going to take a call that will suit us. He also went on to say that, just before the hearing today, yesterday, he made a statement saying that we know that the judge is going to stay everything. We are expecting that to happen. I want to ask you, थोड़ी expectations misplaced हो गई?
नाविका जी, कोई एक्सपेक्टेशन मिसप्लेस नहीं हुई है। देखिए, पूरी मुस्लिम कम्युनिटी आज परेशान है। एक, हमने बाबरी मस्जिद को खो दिया है। कोर्ट को और गवर्नमेंट को हमें एश्योरेंस देना होगा कि इस मस्जिद के साथ कोई छेड़खानी नहीं होगी। पहले जैसा बाबरी मस्जिद में पहले चबूतरा बना, फिर मूर्तियां रखे गए, काफ़ी कोर्स ऑफ चला पूरा चीज़ को। देखिए, अब हमारी ये मस्जिद को पहले एश्योरेंस दीजिए, ठीक है, जो कोर्स ऑफ कोर्ट है उसका चलने दीजिए। देखिए, मेरा सवाल एक ही है कि पहले एडवोकेट कमिश्नर को चेंज किया गया, फिर जज को चेंज किया गया, उसके पीछे क्या वजह है? देखिए, आप क्लियर, सुप्रीम कोर्ट को भी इसके पीछे का मंशा समझ में आ चुका है। दैट इज द रीजन द जज हैज बीन चेंज एंड द एडवोकेट कमीशन हैज बीन चेंज। तो मैं उम्मीद करता हूं कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट और सेशन कोर्ट के जरिए जो सो इंसाफ होगा, ना बल्कि बाबरी मस्जिद की तरह इसको भी शहीद किया जाएगा। पहले गवर्नमेंट को एश्योरेंस देना होगा। बाबरी मस्जिद में भी दिया गया था, इसलिए आज हम परेशान हैं। यहाँ पे कोई असदुद्दीन अवैसी की लड़ाई नहीं है, ना कोई योगी आदित्यनाथ की लड़ाई नहीं है। यहाँ पे एक मुल्क को फिर से एक नए बैटल के पास ढकला जा रहा है। सी, वी डोंट हैव, ऑलरेडी वी आर फेसिंग लॉट ऑफ प्रॉब्लम्स इन इंडिया। इकोनॉमी को ले लो, वी हैव मेनी थिंग्स हैव बीन हैपनिंग ओवर हियर। सो ये ट्रायल के लिए अनदर 30 years, mark my word, ये 30 साल आगे फिर से एक बैटल के लिए we are getting ready. See, if there was a political vendetta, political propaganda over there in this issue. Earlier कभी इश्यू नहीं हुआ, बट जब नमाज के लिए रोका गया, सुप्रीम कोर्ट गॉट इंटरवेन। एंड अनदर थिंग, द फाउंटेन विच हैज द सुप्रीम कोर्ट हैज सेड टू सिक्योर, ठीक है, करिए, बट इन द कोर्ट इन द ऑर्डर ऑल्सो इट्स क्लियरली सेड कि मुस्लिम्स को उनके तरीके से पूरी नमाज पढ़ने की इजाजत है। देन दैट वजू खाना शुड बी यूज, इट्स नॉट दैट, बट गवर्नमेंट हैज टू अगेन एंड अगेन, आई एम आस्किंग यू थ्रू योर चैनल कि
very scared that this will be Babri Masjid part 2.
मैडम, देखिए आप लोग, this all happened now, नाविका जी, it's already happened. We have seen masjid has been demolished in front of our eyes.
The fountain which will hurt the sentiments of the other side. So it is one-way street where you should be protected.
It was fountain for past 400 years.
But the Hindus should not deserve or expect any protection in this country. Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, they made it very clear. हमको डर लगता है, हमको प्रोटेक्ट कर लो, लेकिन हम इसको फाउंटेन बुलाएंगे. We will not say that till the judgment is out, let's hold our horses and not refer to it as a fountain. They will call it a fountain. They will hurt the sentiments of the Hindus, but they should be protected. Sudhanshu Trivedi ji, respond to Mr. Sohail.
Madam, देखिए on
no, I'm hearing your fader. You've said what you had to. Sudhanshu.
Lawyers. Sir, ये थोड़ा इको हो रहा है, इसको ठीक करा दीजिएगा. 2 learned lawyers, Vishnu Jain and Santosh Hegde ji, has given their opinion on Places of Worship Act. I would just like to put forth one thing. Can any of the legal luminary tell me that any act can be made retrospective effective? Okay. and retrospective of 44 years back. Third thing, they are saying that on 15th of August 1947, the religious places should be remain at it. Does government has number of religious places? Answer is no. Does government has of that day was having its status of the religious places 15th August? No. So it seems very illogical, non-substantive that you have made effective retrospective 44 years back without having any number, without having any status. So it is for now, it is being challenged in the court, so it is for the courts to decide that what they are going to give in that. Now coming to, जो इन्होंने कहा हमारे, जनाब जब बाबरी मस्जिद की बात आई थी, आप जब वर्ड यूज करते हैं, court has never used this word बाबरी मस्जिद. They said the disputed structure. Because on 6 December 1992, for 43 years, there was no namaz, केवल वहां पे श्री राम का विग्रह रख के पूजा हो रही थी. तो बुतखाना था आपके हिसाब से, मस्जिद क्यों कहते हैं उसको भाई? Neither court has said, now as per your belief, for 43 years there was no masjid. Okay, मुस्लिम्स के पास एक मौका आया था. 49 में उन्होंने ये 12 साल तक क्लेम नहीं किया था. 61 दिसंबर दे बिकम द पार्टी, बिकॉज उनको लग रहा था कि हमें इस चीज में नहीं पढ़ना चाहिए. बट थैंक्स टू द सेक्युलरिस्ट ऑफ द नेहरूवियन एरा, दे मोटिवेटेड. देन के मोहम्मद हैज गिवन अ डिस्क्रिप्शन इन हिज बुक. इन 80s मुस्लिम्स वर हैविंग अ ओपिनियन दैट दे डू नॉट वांट टू बिकम अ पार्टी, बट देन द लेफ्टिस्ट हैव मोटिवेटेड. And then the leaders like Shahabuddin and Bukhari, now today the leaders like Owaisi. Now एक बार फिर you are on the verge of history, sir. It's not for Muslim community that there is a temple on one side and mosque on the other side. I would like to say a serious and a larger thing. There is a choice for Muslim community that there is a legacy of Mughals on one side and there is a chance to shed away all the legacies and come up with an independent entity, nothing to do with foreign invaders on the other side. आप मुगलिया मानसिकता की मृग मरीचिका में रहना चाहें, in the mirage of Mughaliya mindset in which the water for which you are thinking will never be there, or the other side there is a historical opportunity. You can say बाबर के नाम की मस्जिद से कोई मतलब नहीं था, औरंगजेब के नाम की मस्जिद से कोई मतलब नहीं था, अब एक नई शुरुआत करते हैं. But unfortunately, if you do not want to show this, then it will be like if in today's Germany anybody says that the touchstone of German and Jews harmony will be that if Germans say that we uphold Adolf Hitler's Holocaust, we uphold Adolf Eichmann's Holocaust, Hermann Göring, Rudolf Hess, they are our heroes, but still we want to have a Ganga Jamuni Tehzeeb of German and Jews together. यही बात होगी कि बाबर, तुगलक, औरंगजेब को हमारा कहेंगे, हमारा, और उसके बाद कहेंगे ये गंगा जमनी तहजीब है. फाइनली यू नो गंगा जमनी वर्ड केम फ्रॉम वेयर? औरंगजेब का बड़ा भाई दारा शिको, जिसने किताब लिखी मंजुमल बहरीन, इसका मीनिंग था मीटिंग ऑफ द टू ओशियंस, वो थी गंगा जमनी तहजीब. ही ट्रांसलेटेड उपनिषद इनटू पर्शियन एंड द नेम ऑफ द बुक वाज सिर्रा अकबर, मींस वर्ड ऑफ गॉड. और उसका तो सर काट के थाली में रख के जेल में बंद अपने बाप को दिया. द पर्सन हु हैज क्रश्ड द गंगा जमनी तहजीब. फॉरगेट अबाउट हिंदूज, अपने तीनों भाइयों को मारा, शुजा, मुराद और दारा, अपने बाप को जेल में बंद किया. क्या आपको लगता है कि आप अपने परिवार में भी ऐसे व्यक्ति के नाम के साथ एसोसिएट रहना चाहते हैं? इसलिए मैं कहता हूं, नाउ इट इज अ लार्जर क्वेश्चन फॉर मुस्लिम कम्युनिटी टू थिंक from their family to their country to their society to their identity.
Dr. Rahmani, would you want to respond? Because it's a time for the awakening and it's a time to also look at historical occurrences and the way they have occurred. And may I ask you, is it not written in various history texts from the time of Akbar and from the time of Aurangzeb, the fact that this itself was a structure that was a temple that was broken down? In fact, the Asiatic Library in Kolkata has a copy of the Farman of Aurangzeb, and I think Vishnu Jain has submitted that Farman as a document where it clearly says the Farman of Aurangzeb says that the temple should be broken and a masjid should be made. So tonight, is it a question only of the courts, or is it a question also of the test of really kitna bhaichara hai and how much of Ganga Jamni Tehzeeb exists between the two communities in India?
See, Ravika, first of all, I don't want to claim it as a Hindu and Muslim disharmony. And this is not a Hindu and Muslim issue, and I want to take it, and I am taking it like a mandir and masjid issue, not more than that. So if it is a mandir issue, so
it's
many
not
Muslims
Hindu
can
Muslim,
favor
but
that
it is mandir masjid.
And so many Muslims can favor the mandir. It is a mandir masjid issue, yes. If you are talking about the communal harmony and the societies to live in integration, then it shall not be, it must not be a Hindu-Muslim issue, it must be a mandir masjid issue, not more. Secondly, what our learned friend Sudhanshu Trivedi is saying, I remember on 9th November 2019 what the Prime Minister of India said. He said, now let's forget the past and go along for the national building. And I want to remind you what the RSS chief that day said. He said that for some historical compulsions we have joined this Andolan, and no, in future we will not join any such movement. And we will do the human building, human welfare work. And what they are doing after 2.5 years, everybody knows. Secondly, we are not aligning with anybody in the past. We want to live in 2022. We don't want to live 100 years back. And the court, the Honorable Supreme Court today I'm satisfied and I'm happy. There is no point of disappointment when they have referred this case to the lower judiciary and changed the judge whose integrity was questioned by so many faculties in the country. And they have changed it. So if the inquiry is a part of inquiry is concerned, Vishnu Jain, whatever Vishnu Jain said, fine, it's good. You go for inquiry, but it will be a record maintaining activity, what I say. As far as the 1991 Act is concerned, I want to say it very openly to Mr. Sudhanshu Trivedi. He belonged to the BJP, the ruling party. The case is, the Act is challenged in the Supreme Court of India, and they have sent a notice to you. You did not reply till date. You have to clear your position as a ruling party, whether you want this Act to stay or you want to repeal it. You have to make a decision, and I want to say it further, that the future of India and the future of the society, the society of various sects and various beliefs depend on the fate of this 1991 Act.
Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, Mr. Rahmani has made several points, but is there a possibility of considering a Hindu-Muslim issue, separate from a Mandir Masjid issue? Do you think this is separable?
Yes. I said it.
Now, I think if somebody is trying to do this, as Mr. Rahmani is trying, I would like to respond. He has said that we have to make our position clear. We have to make our position clear, sir. When this act was passed, BJP's position was categorically clear that we were against tooth and nail on this. But by that time, the government has passed. At this time, it is sub judice in the court. So till the court decides the legislative process should not start, there should be not. Politically, our stand was against. Now I am coming to that. Sir, 1 minute. The basic fundamental question, sir, let me complete. A basic fundamental question, it is Places of Worship Act. I want to ask, is there any tradition of worship in Islam, or it is only prayer? Because in Hindi translation, it is upasana. Upasana is from two Sanskrit word. Up means near, asan means to sit. You can sit near to any object or person. It has to be in real terms. और आपके यहाँ तो अल्लाह निराकार माने गए, तो निराकार की सिर्फ प्रार्थना होती है, उपासना नहीं हो सकती. तो I want to very clear. There is a worship, there is a no concept of worship. इसीलिए आपके यहाँ तमाम ऐसे फतवे होते हैं जो मजारों के लिए कहते हैं कि मजार कुफ्र है, क्योंकि वहाँ worship होती है. तो मजार can be the place of worship, but the mosque is the place of prayer. One thing. Second thing, no, not playing with the word, sir. Not playing. And one, मेरे भाई, रहमानी साहब पूरी बात कर लूं. रहमानी साहब पूरी बात कर लूं. रहमानी साहब पूरी बात कर लूं. Let me complete my submission.
Let me Rahmani Saab, let him complete, you can rebut. After he completes, you can rebut. 1 minute, Rahmani Saab, after he completes, you can rebut. You made 4 big points. He's responding to the 4 points. If you want to rebut him, right after he finishes speaking, you can. Yes, Sudhanshu.
अब मैं बता रहा हूँ worship क्या होती है. हाँ, in Hindu scriptures, there is a clear categorical reference of Kashi. 7 मोक्षदायिनी नगरियों में है, अयोध्या, मथुरा, माया, काशी, कांची, अवंतिका, पुरी, द्वारावती चैव सप्तैता मोक्षदायका. And there is a clear reference of Gyan and Vapi. In Puran it is said, Devasya Dakshinam Bhage, Vapi Tishtati Shobhanam, Tasyodakam Pitva Punarjanmam na vidyate. It means on the southern side of the Dev, Vapi is there, and by drinking that water, you can get out of the circle of the Janma and Janmantar. But unfortunately, you do not believe in Janmantar, but very interested in taking that water. So I want an answer. Sir, please give me any Muslim reference in which the word Kashi is there, in which the word Gyan is there, in which the word Vapi is there. Kindly enlighten me on this.
Rahmani ji.
First of all, I want to correct, if I may, that the worship, the word worship, in Urdu it is ibadat. Ibadat can be of any form. And in Hindi, as far as my knowledge of Hindi is concerned, it may be very little, but it's puja, not the upasana. So if it is puja, puja may be of various kinds, and you know it even in the Hindu religion.
Sir, the
there are so many ways of the puja
is
there. In the same way in Islam and in any other religion.
The translation, Hindi translation is upasana is there.
I don't know. At some other point, even the Hindu Pandits say that this is the puja, not upasana. The meaning, the translation of worship is puja, not upasana in Hindi. There is so many Hindu Pandits, and I'm going by that. That's why I said it's not just the upasana is a way of puja. Upasana of the way of puja. It is covered under the bigger ambit of puja. Upasana is one of the way, one of the paddhati.
Well, let's not get derailed by the usage of the word. The fact is that you used the 1991 Act to pray to the Supreme Court that this cannot be done, and that was rejected. Vishnu Jain ji, I want to ask you, the entire process of trying to determine what exists there in the Gyanvapi area is what this whole thing is all about. And the Supreme Court has not stopped, not stayed the process of finding out कि ये था क्या वहां पर, वहां structure क्या था, place of worship क्या था. I want to ask you, Vishnu Jain, two things. The fact is that there are historical references and there are facts that this entire mandir area was destroyed thrice. The last time by Aurangzeb in 1669. I want to ask you, the Farman. 1 minute, Dr. Rahmani. Why don't you be the sole speaker in this debate? Then nobody else needs to speak. You can have the floor and speak for half an hour.
One more very important sentence.
No, then you should have said it in the beginning, because right now I'm asking Vishnu Jain a question. Vishnu Jain, there is so much material, and the Farman of Aurangzeb, forget anybody else, Aurangzeb, which you have presented. Would you have a copy of that Farman, and what does that Farman say?
See, that Farman is of 18th April 1669, and it is quoted in the book History of India. Sir,
I am not claiming that the mandir was not demolished.
1 minute. Please lower Rahmani.
See, that Farman, that Farman of 18th April 1669, which is quoted in the book History of India written by Mr. Dawson. What does it say? That जाओ जाके जो ब्राह्मण वहाँ पे पूजा पाठ करा रहे हैं उसको रोक दो और इनकी मंदिर को तोड़ दो. और 18 अप्रैल 1669 को बादशाह सलामत को रिपोर्ट किया गया कि काशी की मंदिर को तोड़ दिया गया है. अब द पॉइंट इज, मैं यहाँ पे सारे पैनलिस्ट से पूछना चाहता हूँ और बहुत ही संजीदगी से पूछना चाहता हूँ कि क्या प्लीज आप मुझे बताइए कि क्या आप आज ये ऑन एयर कह सकते हैं कि मंदिर तोड़ के मस्जिद बनाया जा सकता है? अभी मैं मेरे एक भाई को सुन रहा था, आई वाज हियरिंग वन ऑफ माय ब्रदर्स, ही वाज सेइंग कि मेरी बाबरी मस्जिद को शहीद कर दिया कि हम दूसरी नहीं खोना चाहते. नाविका जी, आज कोर्ट में क्या हुआ पता है? मैं बोल ही देता हूं यहाँ पे. इनके वकील साहब ने क्या आर्ग्यूमेंट किया कि जो एरिया सील किया गया हमें वहीं पे वसूल करने दिया जाए. मतलब जिद है कि अगर एक पक्ष कह रहे हैं शिवलिंग है तो सुनना नहीं है. आपको सिर्फ ये कहना है कि हम वहीं वजू करें, और वही सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा कि नहीं, ये चीज नहीं हो सकती है. जो हमारा ऑर्डर है 17 अप्रैल का वो सैक्रोसेंट है और वो बरकरार रहेगा. आपने मेरे पे एलिगेशंस लगाए थे कि विष्णु शंकर जैन ने एक्स पार्टी इंटरव्यू ऑर्डर ले लिया 16 मई को, पर सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने 17 मई को वही ऑर्डर बरकरार रखा और वो आज भी बरकरार रखा.
Respond Atikur Rahman. Respond Atikur Rahman.
चाहते हो assurance बाबरी मस्जिद के लिए?
Respond, Mr.
Navika ji, may I?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Navika ji, a number of times Mr. Vishnu Jain has raised this point that whether the Muslims can offer prayers on such a land which is not, belonging to them. I can cross-question him. Can the Hindus pray in those temples which Aurangzeb or any other Muslim leaders, the Muslim rulers have granted several amount of money to it? Several grants and lands were granted in the 50-year-long rule of Aurangzeb. Several mosques were granted. The mandirs were granted. Money, land and several other things. This is on record. And even there are records of breaking the temples by Muslim rulers, also the Hindu rulers. May I complete, sir? May I complete, sir? May I complete, sir? May I complete, sir?
Make your point.
Thank you. So we do have a checkered history. Sudhanshu ji knows it. Again and again, if you are fingering one particular community, that they are owning the legacy of the Muslim rule
what do you mean
or
by
Aurangzeb, it is
what do you
quite
mean by
incorrect.
fingering one
Can you
particular
return all
community?
the money and all the land
What do you
granted?
mean by fingering one
Why
particular
Tipu Sultan
community?
to those?
Atikur Rahman, when you and your side
you won't accept it.
कि जो जगह मिली है, जो
allow me to complete. I have several other things which can expose to people.
Would you like to get exposed? You are not fingering others, Sudhanshu Trivedi.
Would you like to get exposed or not?
What line is this that there is only one community that is being
Would you like to get exposed more or not? You don't want to get exposed?
We are not posing
then
any
you are
finger to
hiding
any
several
community.
things.
The community.
You are hiding several things, Sudhanshu ji. Nirankari, Raja Ram Mohan Roy. The concept of Nirankari came from Rabindranath Tagore. The concept of Nirankari came from Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. This is Hinduism, not your Hindutva.
I don't know. Please quote history that
Nirankari. Who is a Nirankari? Hindutva is not a Nirankari. Hinduism is Nirankari.
You have raised an issue that only one community has been fingered in this country. I want Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi to respond to that statement made by you. Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi.
Ramani sahab.
We never connect. नहीं मैं बताता हूं. अरे भाई यहां दो भाई हैं. एक है दारा शिको, एक है औरंगजेब. We are not pointing out. It is the community which is denouncing Dara Shikoh and owning Aurangzeb. इसीलिए मैं कहता हूं औरंगजेब के नाम की सड़क हटाई गई तो कौन जाके छाती पीटा था? औरंगजेब के 300 साल पूरे हुए 2007 में जलसा बनाया. ये बताइए जब दारा शिकोह की शहादत हुई है 30 सितंबर 1659 कोई मनाता उनके 300 साल. अब देखिए प्लीज डू नॉट डिस्टर्ब सर, प्लीज डू नॉट डिस्टर्ब. लेट मी कंप्लीट माय सबमिशन. अच्छा यू हैव टॉक्ड अबाउट द मंदिर्स ग्रांट गिवन बाय औरंगजेब टू द मंदिर. अरे सर मैं आपकी बात
उसने मंदिर
भाई लेट मी कंप्लीट.
अरे भाई अब your fader Atikur Rahman. You were a peaceful man to debate with, but suddenly you decided that you must interfere and interrupt everybody. Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, complete your point.
हाँ इन्होंने जो बोला मैं और ऐड कर देता हूं. अरे औरंगजेब ने राम का नाम भी लिखा है. कब? जब शिवाजी को उसने बुलाया, मिर्जा राजा जयसिंह के थ्रू चिट्ठी भेजी तो लास्ट में लिखा आइयो जरूर आलमगीर का राम राम बाचियो. इट डजंट मीन ही हैज अ फेथ इन राम. यह तो छल था कि शिवाजी को इमोशनल ब्लैकमेल करने का कि राम का नाम लिखो ताकि वो आ जाएं. एंड नाउ आई कोट छत्रपति शिवाजी के जमाने की लिखी हुई शिवाजी बावनी का सेंटेंस कोट करता हूं. उसमें लिखा हुआ है कुंभकर्ण असुर अवतारी औरंगजेब काशी और प्रयाग में दुहाई फेरी रब की और तोड़े देव देवालय शहर मोहल्ले के रे लाखों मुसलमान किए माला तोड़ी सब की. और आगे लिखा काशी करबला होती मथुरा मदीना होती शिवाजी ना होते तो सुन्नत होती सबकी. यह शिवाजी के समय का डॉक्यूमेंट है. अब जाइए महाराष्ट्र में जिनके साथ सरकार चला रहे, हिम्मत हो तो चैलेंज करिए। इसमें कोई इफ एंड बट है क्या? डॉक्यूमेंटेड हिस्ट्री में लिखा हुआ है सारी चीजें। इतना ज्यादा अत्याचार हुआ था। सर, यू आर ओनिंग द लीगेसी। अरे आज आपको दारा शिकोह की जयंती मनानी चाहिए थी। आपका कहना चाहिए था हेल विद औरंगजेब, वी वांट द गंगा जमनी तहजीब व्हिच वाज इनिशिएटेड बाय दारा शिकोह इन मंजुमल बहरीन। बट अफसोस कि आपको न खुसरो, न रहीम अब्दुल रहीम खान खाना, न सैयद मोहम्मद इब्राहिम रस खान, वहां से लेकर डॉक्टर कलाम तक नहीं नजर आते। आपको बाबर, तुगलक, औरंगजेब, इशरत जहां, याकूब मेनन, जाकिर नायक नजर आते। लीगेसी यू चूज, नॉट वी इम्पोज।
Well, I want to get in Rahul Ishwar. Rahul Ishwar, you know, this is a community that has been fingered. That is the statement made. And on the other side, Dr. T.A. Rahmani comes out and says that let's not make this Hindu-Muslim, let's just restrict it to masjid and mandir. Can you separate the two? Can you separate Hindus from their mandirs and Muslims from their masjids?
Yeah, Navikaji, one humble submission. I am totally with my Muslim brother who said he was pained when one mosque or Babri Masjid was destroyed. Then imagine the pain of hundreds of temples being razed and for centuries by our Hindu community. Please remember, I am with their pain when they say when their holy structure or when one particular structure was brought down, we respect it. But what about the pain for centuries for crores of Hindus when hundreds of temples were destroyed? So here is the position. See, there are some realities of history we should remember. We should have truth and reconciliation. We should talk to each other. We should find a consensus. I am a Gandhian and I am a proud pluralist. But at the same point of time, I would request our Muslim brothers not to go for confrontation in court, but rather some kind of a reconciliation. We all know that Kashi, Mathura and Ayodhya are especially sacred for Hindus because it is Janma Bhumi's birthplace. They cannot be taken away. They have their own unique sanctity that should be respected. So why don't Muslim seniors and Hindu seniors sit together and find out a way? Let us talk it out. Let us talk to each other. Why go for confrontation? And we have a great legacy of people like K.K. Mohammed, who is a proud Indian Muslim, but he pointed out that there were temples destroyed and there were pains of the past. So let us address the wounds of the past in a very centrist way, Gandhian way. Honorable Supreme Court also
Sanjay Hegde, you are a jurist, you are a man of the law. But you're also a man that follows the Indian culture, Indian history and religion, follower of religion as well. I just want to ask you, when we are talking about how do we choose our legacy, should the legacy of Aurangzeb and Babur and Tughlaq prevail over the legacy of other people like Dara Shikoh or Akbar? Number one. And number two, the question I want to ask you, when the Muslim side says in court कि हमें वुजू तो वही करना है, and with the structure that is called the fountain, even though now that the Supreme Court has said that whatever form it is, it needs to be protected, doesn't it show that the community that says that they have been fingered actually has no respect for the sensitivities of the other side as well?
Well, before we proceed further, there was one thing that Mr. Sudhanshu Trivedi said, that Ayodhya was described as a disputed structure. Reading from the Supreme Court judgment, the 5 judges said, during the pendency of the suits, the entire structure of the mosque was brought down in a calculated act of destroying a place of public worship. The Muslims have been wrongly deprived of a mosque which has been constructed well over 450 years ago. He also quoted something from Shivaji's time, which seemed to me to be in modern Hindi or Braj Bhasha. I don't think Shivaji spoke either of those languages. So it is very easy to keep on giving half-truths. No, please. I didn't interrupt you, sir. Please do not. It is very easy to pass off WhatsApp information. It's very easy to pass off WhatsApp information. But as a man of law, and as somebody who has observed history.
Sir, I challenge you. You are talking about WhatsApp information. I challenge you. It is written during the Shivaji's time.
If it was written in Shivaji's time, it would have been written in Marathi, it would have been written in Persian, it would not have been written in... No, please.
Not
it would not have been written in modern Hindi. It would not have been written in modern Hindi, please. Okay. Now, Navika, you have to let me speak. You have to let me speak. You have to let me speak. You have to let me speak.
You are challenging
now the second part of it. The second part of it, Navika,
his facts and he's challenging yours. How can I allow you to carry on without the rebuttal?
No. So let me complete. Let me complete.
Empirical assumption that it is to be written in Marathi.
So he should speak during his time, na?
Yes.
All right. Complete your point, Sanjay.
As far as legacy is concerned, I think modern India should be more concerned with its future than its legacy. I, as a practicing Hindu, we would say that yes, Aurangzeb or somebody like that destroyed the mosque, destroyed the temple, built a mosque. I also take pride in the fact that thereafter Ahilyabai Holkar restored the temple and preserved the mosque. So our history is both ways. We can read history just to understand what mistakes not to repeat. But we cannot make history our obsession to say that which happened 400 years ago, we are going to rewrite or we are going to create the same mistake. Let us write a fresh history. As they said, छोड़ो कल की बात पुरानी, नए जोश से लिखेंगे मिलकर नई कहानी.
तो ये एक ही साइड को क्यों कहा जाएगा? डॉक्टर सुधांशु त्रिवेदी, छोड़ो कल की बातें should apply only to one side?
Now, look at the sentence of Mr. Sanjay Hegde. He had said, Aurangzeb destroyed temple, and I am also having pride that Ahilyabai made it. Both histories are ours. Sir, what you are saying? A foreign invader has destroyed the temple, and that history is still yours. And with due humility, I have no personal no allegation on you. With due respect to you, sir, it is written in Avadhi language, and that's why जो जानता राजा जब नाटक है जो दिखाया जाता है शिवाजी के बारे में, उसमें जो अंत में पढ़ा जाता ना, इंद्र जिमी जम्ब पर बाड़व सुवम पर रावण सदम पर, वो भी हिंदी में है. Sir, you do not know those things, so that's why I am saying, sir, you are in the confined in the Lutyens history. अरे भाई आप सुनिए, गुरु ग्रंथ साहब का आखिरी दोहा अवधि हिंदी में लिखा हुआ है, राम नाम सिमरन करो जाके सम नहीं कोई, सिमरत ही संकट मिटे दरस दिखावे सो. अब आप कहेंगे गुरुमुखी में लिखा होना चाहिए. सर, दैट्स फॉर द कंपोजिट हिस्ट्री. अनफॉर्चुनेटली यू पीपल हैव ट्राइड टू डिस्टॉर्ट एंड मेक ए सेगमेंटेशन, रेजिमेंटेशन ऑफ द लैंग्वेज. नाउ कमिंग ऑन द टुडेज एस्पेक्ट, आई जस्ट वांट टू से, सर, इट इज करेक्ट that the historical wrong should not sustain. That's what I'm saying. For Muslim community, shed up the Mughal legacy and say we do not want to sustain and stand with those historical wrong. We want to do away with it, like today's Germans do not stand with the Holocaust. And that's why there is a harmony with the Germans and the Jews. But unfortunately, if you want to sustain and own the legacy of the Holocaust of Hindus, which I am not quoting, Mr. R.G. Ramal is a documented history of 2,500 years has said before 13th century there was no massacre in India. He has documented that 1.4 billion people have been killed in 2,500 years.
Let me get in, Mr. Vinod Bansal. One minute, gentlemen. Mr. Vinod Bansal. Bansal जी, माफ कीजिएगा, लेट आ रही हूँ आपके पास, लेकिन अब ये पूछना चाहती हूँ कि जो कह रहे हैं छोड़ो कल की बातें, कल की बात पुरानी, वो क्या सिर्फ एक साइड को अप्लाई करेंगी या सबको छोड़नी पड़ेंगी कल की बातें? और फिर जब जन्मभूमियों का सवाल आता है और प्लेसेस ऑफ वर्शिप एक्ट जिसका हवाला दिया जाता है, अगर सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने आज कहा है कि वो पता करने के लिए कि ये क्या था, किस तरह का स्ट्रक्चर था और यहाँ क्या हुआ करता था, उसमें कोई रुकावट नहीं है 1991 एक्ट में, तो क्या अब ज्ञानवापी के बाद अगली जो मॉन्यूमेंट है वो मथुरा की होगी?
देखिए नाविका जी, धन्यवाद देता हूँ, चाहे डिबेट के एंड में ही सही, कम से कम आप आए और आई रियली एंजॉय योर डिबेट्स. Today's debate is very historical in wider perspective. I may not have been entered into the debate, but I really enjoy the debate. And मैं request करूँगा आपके viewers इसके एक-एक जो shorts हैं उनको लेकर के सोशल मीडिया पर जरूर लेके जाएंगे, because it is a very learned debate, I can say. But the question is that कि देखिए जब तक अतीकुर रहमान जी एंटर नहीं हुए थे इस डिबेट में, तब तक टोटली इंटेलेक्चुअल डिबेट चल रही थी. इट वॉज ए टोटल वेरी लीगल एंड दिस कंस्ट्रक्टिव डिबेट. द क्वेश्चन इज दैट कि एक तरफ तो वो सोच है जो कि न्यायालय के सम्मान की बात करती है, संविधान की बात करती है, और उसी संविधान को दता बता के न्यायाधीशों के ऊपर क्वेश्चन रेज करती है, और माननीय सर्वोच्च न्यायालय का भी टाइम खराब करती है. बार बार सर्वोच्च न्यायालय ने कहा कि तुम नीचे जाओ, नीचे जाओ, नीचे जाओ, उसके बाद भी नीचे वालों को पत्थर फेंकना इनकी आदत है. तीसरी बात ये, देखिए हिंदू समाज ने, चाहे कोर्ट ने कहा कि उस ज्ञानवापी मॉस्क में आप इस एरिया में नहीं जा सकते, 20 लोगों से ज्यादा नहीं जा सकते, लेकिन इसके बावजूद भी 700 लोगों को अलाउ किया. देखिए मैं बीच में नहीं बोला था. ये जरा इसको इनका वॉल्यूम डाउन करिए, इनका वॉल्यूम डाउन करिए प्लीज. नाविका जी मैं ऐसे नहीं बोल पाऊंगा. देखिए मैं ये कह रहा हूं कि देखिए नाविका जी, अगर ऐसे मेरे को देखिए मेरे साथ अन्याय हो रहा है. आज
नहीं हो रहा, मैंने उनका फेडर डाउन किया. आप लास्ट में बोल रहे हैं इसीलिए फेडर डाउन कर दिया अतीकुर रहमान साहब.
करेक्ट, थैंक यू. मैं ये कह रहा हूं, देखिए बड़े विनम्रतापूर्वक कह रहा हूं कि एक तरफ जो है ना 20 लोगों को अलाउ किया, उसके बावजूद भी 700 लोग मस्जिद में पहुंचे, 700 से ज्यादा, लेकिन किसी हिंदू ने ऑब्जेक्शन किया क्या? नहीं. लेकिन दूसरी साइड में जब मेरी आस्था का केंद्र वहां पर मौजूद है और संपूर्ण विश्व उसके लिए आह्लादित है, और वहीं पर आप थूकना चाहते हो, वहीं पर आप कुल्ला करना चाहते हो, वहीं पर आप हाथ मुंह धोना चाहते हो, ये है इनकी गंगा जमुनी, ये है इनका भाईचारा, ये है इनकी दुष्टता मैं कहूंगा इसका, ये है इनकी सोच. और ये बात जो अब तक डिबेट में जो आ गई है कि ये किसके साथ खड़े हैं, किसके साथ नहीं है, बात कम्युनिटी की करते हैं और कम्युनिटी में पिक एंड चूज करते हैं. जो कट्टरपंथी हैं उनके साथ इस्लाम को कनेक्ट करना चाहते हैं. भारत के युवा मुसलमानों को ये कट्टरपंथी और अलगाववादी बनाना चाहते हैं. आप देखिए, मुझे बताइए, जैसे कि इन्होंने कहा कि भाई इस मामले का कोई हिंदू मुसलमान से लेना देना नहीं है, मैं भी मानता हूं इस बात का. मंदिर मस्जिद से भी लेना देना नहीं है, ये बात इन्होंने कही कि मंदिर मस्जिद से लेना देना, मैं कहता हूं ये भी नहीं है. इसमें मंदिर मस्जिद का भी कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है. यहाँ क्वेश्चन है इन्वेडर का और इंडियन का, यहाँ क्वेश्चन है भारतीयता का और अभारतीयता का, यहाँ क्वेश्चन है दास्ता का और स्वाभिमान का. ये प्रश्न है, ये प्रश्न है वास्तव में धर्म का और अधर्म का. लेकिन इसके बावजूद भी ये लोग खड़े होंगे वहीं उनके साथ में. आप देखिए आखिरकार हिंदू समाज को कब तक दबाया जाएगा? इस देश का तथाकथित बहुसंख्यक समुदाय को दबाता रहेगा और हमारी आस्था कोई आस्था नहीं है, आपकी आस्था है.
बिल्कुल. सुधांशु जी, 30 seconds टू यू.
देखिए जो कुछ किया जा रहा है, मैं बाबा विश्वनाथ जी के ही कैरेक्टर से प्रेरणा लेकर कहता हूं, जिन्होंने विष पान करके जगत का कल्याण किया. एक पंक्ति कह के समाप्त करता हूं कि मैं मधु से अनभिज्ञ आज भी जीवन भर विषपान किया है, किया नहीं विध्वंस विश्व का आजीवन निर्माण किया है. परंतु यदि अन्याय होगा तो याद रखिएगा, प्रलयंकर हूं महाकाल बन पापों का अवसान किया है, किया नहीं विध्वंस विश्व का आजीवन निर्माण.
शुरू हुआ है अन्याय तो 8 साल से आपने शुरू किया है. आप हिस्ट्री को रिपीट करने के नाम पर आप कह रहे हैं न्याय व्यवस्था नहीं है.
Well, the debate is on. This is not going to be settled very early. In fact, the matter has gone to the courts, from lower courts to the Supreme Court, back to lower courts. In the meanwhile, can the society, can both sides find a solution amicably? Any possibility of that? Is this possible in New India? That's the question we are asking. Thank you very much to all my panelists for joining me on this debate. Big news on the other side. All his attempts to duck and dodge the law failed today, and Navjot Singh Sidhu had no choice left but to surrender to his fate. His lawyer made a last-ditch effort this morning to keep him away from jail, at least for some time. He told the top court that on medical grounds, Navjot Singh Sidhu should be granted more time to surrender. But he perhaps forgot that just 2 days ago, Sidhu was riding an elephant on the streets of Punjab to protest against the central government and the issue of high prices. Well, that defense crumbled pretty soon, and Mr. Sidhu surrendered in Patiala. From an international cricketer to a politician to now a Qaidi whose identity will be a mere number. But what happens to his political career? Well, the BJP wants the Congress to sack him, and whether that will happen or not, at least in the field of comedy,
many people are saying, Mr. Sidhu, Thoko Tali, his very oft repeated statement. Listen in to what the BJP has said in reaction to Sidhu's arrest.
On 8th May was fit enough to ride on an elephant and participate in a political protest. But on 20th of May, his medical condition has deteriorated and he needs more time. This is rubbing salt into the wounds of the victim's family. But what is a bigger mockery is that Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Vadra and the Congress party, who love Navjot Singh Sidhu, perhaps because he has hugged Bajwa, because he considers Imran Khan as his Baijan, have not taken a decision of sacking him and making him exit the party even till now. And they continue to give him patronage. And because of this, he continues to treat the law like a joke.
ਮੈਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਆ ਸਿੱਧੂ ਨੂੰ ਸਜ਼ਾ ਹੋਈ ਆ ਸਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਜੇ ਕੱਟ ਅੰਦਰ ਆਉਣਗੇ ਕੋਈ ਵੱਡੀ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਗੀ ਬਾਦਲ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਕਿੰਨੀਆਂ ਜੇਲ੍ਹਾਂ ਕੱਟੀਆਂ ਕਈ ਲੀਡਰਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿੰਨੀਆਂ ਜੇਲ੍ਹਾਂ ਕੱਟੀਆਂ ਕੋਈ ਨਸ਼ੇ ਦੇ ਦੋਸ਼ ਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਨਾ ਅੰਦਰ ਚੱਲੇ ਇਹ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆ ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਸਖਤੀ ਬਰਦਾਸ਼ਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਰੈਂਡਰ ਕਰਨਗੇ ਸਿੱਧੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਕੋਈ ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਜ਼ਾ ਕੋਰਟ ਨੇ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਆ ਭੁਗਤਣ ਨੂੰ ਤਿਆਰ ਆ
7 years ago, a crime occurred that seemed to be a straight out of a murder mystery novel. A mother accused of murdering her own daughter. The finger pointed to her stepson and her husband, then accused of backing her. Yes, I'm talking about the Sheena Bora murder case. The main accused in that case, Indrani Mukerjea, today walked out of jail on bail after 6.5 long years. The former media mogul walked out of Baikala prison after the Supreme Court granted her bail only on one condition, that as an under trial, she had the right to not be in jail for this long. It noted that the trial was in deep freeze until a few days ago. But remember, she's out on bail. She still has to face trial on murder charges. But as she walked out of the prison today, Indrani Mukerjea was all smiles. No creases, no frowns, no lines, nothing on her forehead. And no question of breaking into sweat. Listen in to what she had to say about her incarceration.
आप अभी काफी खुश हैं, क्या कहना चाहेंगी? अभी घर पे जा रही हैं, किस तरफ जा रही हैं?
घर जा रही हूँ अभी। घर जा रही हूँ अभी।
और क्या कहना चाहेंगी?
फिलहाल तो कुछ नहीं।
आगे का क्या प्लान है?
अभी कुछ प्लान अभी कुछ नहीं है। अभी फिलहाल अभी जाके अपना घर जाना है बस।
मैम बहुत लंबा वक्त रहा, आगे की शुरुआत कैसी होगी? आप बुक भी लिख रही थी इस पर।
अभी मैं कुछ प्लान नहीं कर रही हूँ, अभी आगे जाके पहले घर तो पहुँचूं फिर उसके बाद देखती हूँ।
Indrani, really all the best to you for this.
Thank you.
But I wanted to ask you was, do you blame anyone for this particular incident?
It's all, it's all forgotten.
6.5 years of yours lost.
Empathy and forgiveness. I've forgiven all the people who have hurt me, that's all. So.
Is there anything you learned in the jail, prison?
Lots.
What?
Next interview.
So who killed Sheena Bora? The trial still languishing. Did Sheena Bora die at the hands of her mother? Justice for Sheena Bora in the manner in which she was disposed? Or are courts only responsible for bail, not for justice, for those who've lost their lives? It's a question that sends us a reminder of which way this trial went. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on the Newshour tonight. Good night, be safe.
The News Hour at 9 will be right back after the break. Times now. Action begins here.
मैं आपसे पूछना चाहती हूँ, आप पर सेडिशन का केस लगा, आपके ऊपर चार्ज था कि आप लॉ एंड ऑर्डर तोड़ रही थी, आप 2 हफ्ते जेल में भी रही हैं, मैं आपसे पूछना चाहती हूँ सबसे पहले कि हर इंसान, और यही शिवसेना का कहना है, संजय राउत ने स्टेटमेंट भी दिया है कि जिसको हनुमान चालीसा पढ़ना है वो मंदिर जाए, वो अपने घर में पढ़े, वो अपने पूजा रूम में पढ़े, जहाँ मर्जी पढ़े, लेकिन ये आह्वान करना कि हम मातोश्री के सामने जाएंगे, कहीं ना कहीं कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल पोजीशन है चीफ मिनिस्टर की, ये थोड़ा लाइन क्रॉस करता है। और ऐसा कोर्ट ने भी कहा है कि लाइन क्रॉस की है क्योंकि आप पब्लिक रिप्रेजेंटेटिव हैं, आपको सुनकर आपके वोटर्स होते हैं, लोग साथ जुड़ जाएंगे तो लॉ एंड ऑर्डर सिचुएशन होगी। इसमें क्या गलत है?
मुझे लगता है गलत तो उन लोगों ने की है। जब उनके लोग हमारे घर तक पहुंचते हैं तो हम रेड कारपेट बिछाते हैं, तो क्या हम रिप्रेजेंटेटिव नहीं हैं? हमने तो ये नहीं कहा कि मातोश्री के घर के अंदर जाएंगे, कोई किसी के भी प्राइवेट रेजिडेंस में जाने के लिए हमें राइट्स नहीं है, पर रोड पे तो हर कोई व्यक्ति जो उस शहर का, इस सिटी का रहने वाला है, मुंबई का है, वो तो हर रोड का यूज कर सकता है। और जो गलत सही बता रहे हैं, सेडिशन।
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Watching the News Hour at 9. Stay tuned. Times now. Action begins here.
वेलकम टू फ्रैंकली स्पीकिंग। नमस्कार और आपका स्वागत है। और हिमंता बिस्वा शर्मा जी, आप असम के मुख्यमंत्री हैं। सबसे पहले तो आपको बधाई कि आपने अपना 1 साल का टेन्योर पूरा किया है और आज हम असम के बारे में और देश के बारे में बात करेंगे। ये 1 साल आप किस चीज से इसको मार्क करते हैं कि इस 1 साल में सबसे सिग्निफिकेंट, सबसे जरूरी चीज आपने क्या की है?
देखिए, काफ़ी चीज़ हुआ है असम में। कोई चीज़ हमारा पर्सपेक्टिव से बहुत अच्छा हुआ है, कोई चीज़ नेशनल पर्सपेक्टिव से अच्छा हुआ है, लेकिन कुल मिला के हमने जो मैनिफेस्टो में बोला था, लगभग सारा काम को हमने गति दिया है और कुल मिला के सेटिस्फाइंग 1 ईयर रहा।
लेकिन लोग कहते हैं कि देश में बीजेपी ने कुछ पिछले 2-4 महीनों से ऐसा माहौल बना दिया है
Good evening and welcome. You're watching the News Hour Agenda. I'm Padmaja Joshi. Today, the Supreme Court refused to stop the survey in the Gyanvapi case. It disagreed with the contention that the survey goes against the Places of Worship Act of 1991, which incidentally we have pointed out for days now. Justice Chandrachud said clearly, the Places of Worship Act does not stop anyone from ascertaining the religious character of a place, which means that this opens up the gates for other such claims being made.
यह सत्य है, जैसे धार्मिक स्थल विधेयक 1947 के बाद यह ज्ञानवापी मस्जिद या मस्जिद नहीं आता, क्योंकि उसका एक लॉ है, क्लॉज है 23 के अनुसार ये है कि 1947 के पूर्व की जो स्थिति है, 100 साल पूर्व हिंदू, मुस्लिम, सिख, ईसाई कोई भी हो तो उस पर धार्मिक स्थल विधेयक लागू नहीं होता।
जी सर, इसके अलावा एक बात ये भी है कि इसमें कोई वक्फ नहीं बनाया गया था, तो हाँ, तो उस पर आपका क्या कहना?
ये वक्फ की संपत्ति ये होती है कि किसी व्यक्ति को कोई दान दिया हो या किसी के नाम किया गया हो, लेकिन औरंगजेब 8 अगस्त 1669 में हमारे देवादिदेव महादेव प्रलयंकर शंकर देवादिदेव काशीपुर आदि मंदिर को ध्वस्त किया। इनको किसी ने दान नहीं दिया, वह जमीन किसी ने दान नहीं दिया और न खरीदा गया, तो जब खरीदा नहीं गया तो वक्फ की संपत्ति आती नहीं, तो मस्जिद उसको कहा नहीं जाता है, क्योंकि वक्फ की प्रॉपर्टी के अंतर दी गई जमीन को ही मस्जिद कहा जाता है। तो यह पूर्णतः जो है, और दूसरी चीज, इन्होंने कभी रजिस्ट्रेशन के लिए आवेदन भी नहीं किया।
My disappointment is on this issue that I was expecting that the Supreme Court will nip it in its bud, because this whole 91 Act categorically states that this act was made so that future controversies don't arise. So on that part, I was expecting the Supreme Court would nip it in its bud, because lower court honorable judge was listening to one side of what the petitioners were coming and telling him.
In fact, the petitioner for the mosque committee was at pains to say that as such pleas create mischief in society, they should be nipped in the bud. Not only did the court do no such thing, they didn't stop the survey, they didn't dismiss the plea by the Hindu side. The Supreme Court also said that it is not their mandate to decide whether a plea is maintainable or not. So what is the way ahead? Will multiple such historical disputes now be reopened and make their way to courts from Kashi to Mathura to Delhi and God knows what all? Will ultimately historical wrongs be resolved in court, or could there be an amicable solution as is being sought by some people? That if the character of the part of a mosque is already determined as Hindu, Hindu devotees should be allowed to worship there.
इतिहास बताता है कि जहाँ जहाँ हमारे आराध्य मंदिर थे वहाँ आक्रांताओं ने आकर के तोड़ के मस्जिद बनाई थी। वो भूल गए चिन्ह मिटाना, उनको लग रहा था कि अब हम ही यहाँ काबिज रहेंगे। और ये साफ जाहिर होता है कि मंदिर तोड़ करके उसके गवाह हैं नंदी भगवान, मुख उधरी को किए बैठे हुए हैं। जब आक्रांताओं ने तोड़ा था मंदिर, तोड़ करके मस्जिद बनाई थी, तो हमारा भी अधिकार है लेने का, और उस पर कोर्ट बैठा हुआ है, कोर्ट फैसला करेगी। कोर्ट तो सबूत के आधार पर चलता है ना, और वहाँ सबूत मिल रहे हैं, तो मुझे उम्मीद है ये श्री राम जन्मभूमि की तरह काशी विश्वनाथ में भी न्याय होगा।
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
All right, joining us now to look at the legal, political and the social aspect, Sanju Verma, National Spokesperson of BJP, Ashwini Upadhyay, Advocate, Acharya Shailesh Tiwari, Hindu Dharm Guru, Haziq Khan, Islamic scholar, Mujibur Rahman, Advocate, and IP Singh, National Spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. So let me start by asking you, Mr. Mujibur Rahman, Places of Worship Act was your number one argument. कि Places of Worship Act है, so you cannot ask for any determination of whether this is a temple or a mosque. Supreme Court is saying this is no argument. Now what?
Actually, the petition before Supreme Court was to challenge the order allowing the survey. And the Supreme Court has said that the maintainability of the suit has to be checked by the district judge.
But they did not stop it, sir. They did not stop it.
Supreme Court acts as per the law and as per the procedure. Supreme Court do not act in hurry, because it's the last legal remedy available to the people. So they do not close the door without knowing the facts.
Sir, my question to you is very simple. Every time you have sat here, let's have you and Ashwini Upadhyay debate purely on the legal issue.
To your answer.
You have said clearly over the last 2 months, Places of Worship Act does not allow you to go to court and say, is this a temple or not? Exactly. Today, the Supreme Court said you are allowed. No. You are allowed. Places of Worship Act doesn't stop you. Now what?
Yes. What Supreme Court has said that, yes, obviously it does not stop to know if it's a mosque or a temple, but the obvious, as per the Places of Worship Act, you cannot change the status that was before 1947.
Nobody is changing the status.
No, Supreme Court is saying, yes, Supreme Court is saying that knowing the status.
But now you are agreeing that people have the right to know the status?
Knowing the status is legal. Supreme Court is saying that knowing the status is legal, obviously legal.
But But then why were you arguing against it all this while?
Nobody can change the status if
Mr. Rahman, all this while you are arguing कि आप ये पिटिशन कर ही नहीं सकते कोर्ट में क्योंकि ये प्लेसेस ऑफ वर्शिप एक्ट के खिलाफ है। पिटिशनर्स क्या कह रहे थे? पिटिशनर्स कह रहे थे हमें ये पता लगाना है ये मंदिर है या मस्जिद है, पीरियड। उनकी पिटिशन ही इतनी थी बनारस में कि आप ये बता दीजिए कि ये मस्जिद के नीचे का मंदिर तो नहीं है। आपने कहा नहीं, आप नहीं पूछ सकते।
No, they asked for the prayer firstly. They didn't ask.
That is the second plea, sir. The original plea says very clearly, हमें पता लगाना है एक सर्वे के द्वारा कि क्या ये मस्जिद के नीचे मंदिर है।
This was the interim application.
Sir, आप interim. The clear plea is, what do the petitioners want to know? क्या मस्जिद के नीचे मंदिर है, हाँ या ना? आप मानते हैं कि लोगों को ये पूछने का हक है?
As per the law, yes, people can ask.
Okay, great. So now they can ask in Mathura also. They can ask in Delhi also.
Only they can ask, but they cannot seek any remedy as per the law.
Okay, Ashwini Upadhyay.
What is happening? The status quo should be maintained as per the 1947.
Ashwini Upadhyay.
अरे सुनिए ब्रदर मुजीबुर रहमान प्लीज, वो हमसे सवाल है। हाँ, हमारे पास राइट टू इंफॉर्मेशन एक्ट है। राइट टू इंफॉर्मेशन एक्ट के अंतर्गत हम सब कुछ जान सकते हैं, लेकिन आप जरा सोचिए कह क्या रहे हैं कि राइट टू इंफॉर्मेशन तो है, लेकिन हमें राइट टू इंफॉर्मेशन ये नहीं है कि हमारे वो वहाँ पे वो मंदिर है कि क्या है ये हमें जानना। एक बार मुझे प्लीज लेट मी क्लैरिफाई प्लीज लेट मी दिस द 1991 act does not bar to find out what is the religious character. Our religious character cannot be find out without investigation, without having some SI and
sir, one by one, please. You had your say. Let him finish.
Now,
Ashwini Upadhyay.
we
yes.
know. हाँ, देखिए मैंने कहा ना, यहाँ तो लोगों को सूचना का अधिकार कानून मिला हुआ है, सब कुछ जानने का सरकार क्या कर रही है, कैसे कर रही है। अब आप ये चाहते हो कि हिंदू ये भी न जाने कि उनके वहाँ पे मंदिर में क्या क्या रखा है, क्या क्या रखा है। और अगर आप इसको मॉस्क कहते हो तो सबसे पहले आपको कहना पड़ेगा औरंगजेब झूठा, उसका सेनापति झूठा, वो वाराणसी का गजेटियर झूठा, सारे हिस्टोरियन झूठे, जो सब जगह कह रहे हैं कि हम चिल्ला के कह रहे हैं उसने तोड़ा था। मुझीब प्लीज ऐसे नहीं, मुझीब प्लीज ऐसे नहीं, मुझीब आपने अपनी बात रख दिया, मुझीब आपने बात रख दिया और मैं कोर्ट में था। सुनिए, जो पूरी एक्टिविटी में कोर्ट में था आज, आप तो बाहर से सुन रहे होंगे, मैं कोर्ट के अंदर की प्रोसीडिंग बता रहा हूं। ये जितने आप आर्ग्यूमेंट ले रहे हैं, ये सारे आर्ग्यूमेंट हुजैफा साहब जो मुस्लिम पक्ष के वकील थे वो सारे आर्ग्यूमेंट दे चुके हैं। जितनी दलीलें आप लोग चैनल पे दे रहे हो, जितनी दलीलें ओवैसी साहब प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस करके दे रहे हैं, वो उससे कम से कम 10 गुना ज्यादा दलील हुजैफा साहब ने कोर्ट में दिया था। उन सारी दलीलों को सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने नकारते हुए सीधे कहा कि ये कानून रिलीजियस कैरेक्टर को पता करने से कहीं नहीं रोकता, ये रिलीजियस कन्वर्जन उसका जो कन्वर्ट करने से रोकता है। तो एक बार जब रिलीजियस कैरेक्टर पता हो जाएगा और कोर्ट ये बता देगी, डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट की 1947 में वो मंदिर था कि मस्जिद, तो फिर ये कानून रोकेगा ही नहीं।
तो फिर ये बताइए अश्विनी उपाध्याय, द नेक्स्ट लॉजिकल क्वेश्चन इज, आप पता लगा के क्या कर लेंगे? चलिए कल को कोर्ट ने ये मान लिया रिपोर्ट के बाद कि हाँ ये मंदिर था, फिर
मंदिर होना चाहिए। हाँ।
वर्शिप एक्ट तो रोकता है ना, पर आपको शैलेश तिवारी जी,
तो मंदिर था,
वर्शिप एक्ट रोकता है आपको, आप जानने के बाद कुछ नहीं कर सकते।
मैं वर्शिप एक्ट को नहीं मानता। अगर 1947 से पहले का, अगर 1947 से पहले हमारा मंदिर था तो मंदिर है और मंदिर रहेगा। वहाँ पूरे साक्ष्य मिले हैं, वहां पर कमल पुष्प के निशान है, वहां पर त्रिशूल है, वहां पर भगवान शिव के डमरू हैं, और नंदी महाराज का जो विग्रह है अभी प्रतीक्षा में है, शिवलिंग उनके अंदर हैं, और जो शिवलिंग को दिखाया जा रहा है वही शिवलिंग है, वही ज्योतिर्लिंग है। और स्कंद पुराण में भी वर्णन किया गया है कि स्कंद पुराण का जो काशी खंड है उसके 100 से लेकर के 220 श्लोक तक पूरी तरह से शिव परिवार का और वहां की उपासना का और 6 प्रकार के
आचार्य जी एक एक्ट कहता है आप कुछ उसमें चेंजेस नहीं कर सकते, तो जान के क्या करेंगे?
इस देश में किसान कानून का बिल भी आया और वापस किया गया, और फिर से नया किसान कानून का एक्ट लाया गया। उसी प्रकार नया वर्शिप एक्ट भी लाया जाएगा। अगर मंदिर है उसको तोड़ करके मस्जिद बनाया गया तो फिर से वहां मंदिर बन सकता है।
एक सेकंड बिफोर यू रिस्पॉन्ड टू अश्विनी उपाध्याय, हाजिक खान साहब ये कह रहे हैं कि हाँ पहले हम पता लगाएंगे कि वहां पर मंदिर थी या मस्जिद, उसके बाद हम दोबारा दोबारा कोर्ट जाएंगे और कहेंगे मंदिर हमें दे दीजिए।
मंदिर था तो इनका मस्जिद वैसे ही निष्क्रिय हो गया, क्योंकि ये मूर्ति की पूजा करते नहीं, इस्लाम में मूर्ति पूजा है ही नहीं, तो हमारे मूर्ति की पूजा ये नहीं कर सकते, तो वहां पर सिर्फ हम ही मूर्ति पूजा करेंगे। और हम माननीय न्यायालय से फिर मांग करते हैं कि जो हमारा ज्योतिर्लिंग है वहां पर उसको गेट को तोड़कर हमें दर्शन का आदेश दिया
तो
जाए।
अब इनका आर्ग्यूमेंट है,
आदेश दिया जाए।
ठीक है, एक बार पता चल जाए कि ये मंदिर था या नहीं था। अगर मंदिर था तो या तो फिर कोर्ट से कहेंगे कि हमें दे दीजिए, या फिर आपसे कहेंगे कि आप रिस्पेक्टफुली हमें हक दे दीजिए पूजा करने का।
देखिए मैडम, बात यह है कि भारत हमारा संविधान से चलेगा, आस्था, धींगा मस्ती और हक तलफी से नहीं चलेगा। मैं ये कहता हूं कि हिंदुस्तान दुन में जो हुक्मरान रहे, चाहे औरंगजेब हो, अकबर हो, जो भी, इन्होंने अगर मस्जिदें उन्होंने तोड़ भी दी, जैसा ये कह रहे हैं मेमोरी निगाह में नहीं है, मैं कह रहा हूं कि जो बनारस का मंदिर बनाया अकबर के साले मान सिंह ने और टुंडामल ने बनाया था, और यहाँ पर जो ज्ञानवापी टोडरमल ने, ये ज्ञानवापी मस्जिद है ना, यहाँ पर अकबर ने दीन इलाही शुरू किया था, अकबर के जमाने से, उससे पहले से है। लेकिन अगर हम ये कह रहे हैं कि पिछली बार आजादी से पहले किसी ने क्रूरता की और देश में उन्होंने तोड़ा फोड़ की, वो हुक्मरान थे वक्त, उनका संविधान वो था कि जो बादशाह कहता था वो होता था। तो जमाने में
पर सर पूरा कॉन्सेप्ट जो है हिस्टोरिकल रॉन्ग्स राइट करने का, वो अगर कास्ट जैसे कि एक
तोड़ कैसे सकते हैं, और तोड़ दिया गया तो उसको नए समय पर फिर से नया जागृति की जाएगी।
दिस इज अ डेंजरस ट्रेंड एंड शुड बी स्टॉप एट वंस।
सर लेट मी आस्क यू, आप लॉयर हैं, आप कह रहे हैं कि डेंजरस ट्रेंड है।
अयोध्या 3 एजेंडे में है, मुख्य एजेंडा हमारा काशी, मथुरा और अयोध्या है। हमने अयोध्या को प्राप्त कर लिया है, अब हमें काशी और मथुरा चाहिए।
पर कानून मानना पड़ेगा देश का, कानून मानना पड़ेगा देश का, कानून मानना पड़ेगा सर, कानून मानना पड़ेगा। इसीलिए एक सेकंड प्लीज, एक सेकंड
जानते, संविधान आप नहीं मानते।
आचार्य जी एक सेकंड, मेरा सवाल आपसे है कि कानूनन रास्ता लेकर के अगर कोई फिर कोर्ट में जाए और कहे ये प्रूव हो गया है कि ये मंदिर है, तो उनको ये मांगने का तो हक है ना, या फिर एमिकेबल सेटलमेंट हो जाए।
मैं ये पूछना चाहता हूं मैडम आपसे कि 500 साल के पहले आपके जो दादा थे उन्होंने अगर कोई गलती की, उनका आज फैसला कैसे होगा?
होना चाहिए सर।
क्यों होगा
होना चाहिए।
नहीं, डेमोक्रेसी से पहले हुक्मरानी थी और हुक्मरान बादशाह होते थे, वो बादशाह रहे तेरा। मैं ये कह बताना चाहता हूँ,
सिविलाइजेशनल अगर कोई रॉन्ग्स हुए
देश के लोगों को ये बताना चाहता हूँ कि आजादी से पहले जब हिंदुस्तान में राजा रहते थे, चाहे वो हिंदू राजा हो, मुसलमान राजा हो, मंदिरों को लूटते थे, मंदिरों में से सोना चांदी मिलता था। मैं बता रहा हूं, मैं कह रहा हूं महमूद आनंद राजा था जिसने सोमनाथ के मंदिर को लुटवाया।
नहीं, सोमनाथ के मंदिर को तोड़वाया है औरंगजेब ने। प्लीज हिस्ट्री को इस तरीके से
मंदिरों को नहीं तोड़वाया। और
सर इस तरह की हिस्टोरिकल इनएक्यूरेसीज को नहीं डिस्कस करते। मेरा सिंपल पॉइंट ये है,
आपसे पूछ रहा हूँ, आपकी जानकारी
आप गलत तरीके से बता रहे हैं। आप हमारे हिंदू सभ्यता संस्कृति पर आप मुसलमानों ने, आक्रांताओं ने चोट पहुंचाया है और हम उसे प्राप्त करेंगे कानून के तहत
प्राप्त करेंगे।
हिंदुस्तान के 135 करोड़ लोगों को मानना पड़ेगा,
बिल्कुल मानना चाहिए।
आप कानून नहीं
आप क्यों नहीं मानते हैं?
मैडम अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जो देश के प्रधानमंत्री,
वर्शिप एक्ट के ऊपर बहस नहीं करेंगे हम अभी, क्योंकि आज कोर्ट ने कह दिया है इस मामले का वर्शिप एक्ट से कुछ लेना देना नहीं है। आपका जो पॉइंट है कि हाउ फार बैक इनटू हिस्ट्री संजू वर्मा आर यू गोइंग टू गो एंड व्हाई 500 साल पहले जो हुआ उसका आज बदल करके अगर आपको मंदिर मिल भी गया, आपको क्या फर्क पड़ जाएगा, क्या भला हो जाएगा आपका?
पद्मजा, मैं अभी आप ही का चैनल देख रही थी। कुछ देर पहले एक सुप्रीम कोर्ट के वकील ने कहा, छोड़ो कल की बातें, कल की बात पुरानी, नए दौर में लिखेंगे, मिलकर नई कहानी। मेरा एक सवाल है, जो मुसलमान पक्ष है, हर बार प्रवचन हिंदुओं को क्यों दिया जाता है? I do agree that it is time to heal. We need to focus on contemporary issues. So far, we as a civilization have still not been able to heal. Why is it that we are still digging our 100 years before? The simple reason is that for centuries we have been told to follow a narrative that is not necessarily the truth. As you and me are realizing on a whole host of issues, the latest one being the Ram Janmabhoomi issue, dating back to just 3 years ago, 2019, the Supreme Court finally stepped in and healed a civilization that had been craving for 500 years for the Ram temple to be built at Ram's Janmabhoomi. I will tell you why. In Germany, nobody can dare to say Hitler is a hero. The Holocaust, the extermination of 6 million Jews is a reality that is documented. Nobody denies it. Nobody can say that the Bolshevik policies were great because thanks to Bolshevik policies, 20 million people lost their lives in erstwhile Soviet Union. No one says that the Gulag terror camps were great because more than 7 million people were terrified and brutalized in those Gulag terror camps. But the problem is that in India, you still have people who say Alauddin Khilji Mahan hai. Aurangzeb is one of the most secular rulers that ever traversed, on the Indian soil. The point is we've not come to terms with the fact that there are some times when you need to call out the politics of hatred, the divisiveness that some Mughal marauders perpetrated. जब तक सच्चाई का सामना नहीं करोगे, जब तक इस बात पर विश्वास नहीं करोगे कि औरंगजेब के चलते 50 लाख हिंदुओं को जबरन उनका धर्म परिवर्तन करने के लिए कहा गया और 50 लाख हिंदुओं को मारा गया.
Where you get this number from?
Civilization will not heal.
Miss
Hindu
Sanju, where you get this
civilization will
number
not
from?
हीलिंग के लिए चलिए. एक सेकंड IP सिंह जवाब दीजिए. बीजेपी कह रही है कि अगर कोई हीलिंग होनी है देन पास्ट इनजस्टिसेस हैव टू बी एड्रेस्ड कोर्ट के द्वारा. कोर्ट जा रहे हैं, कोर्ट ने आज पहला कदम उनको दिया है और कोर्ट के द्वारा पास्ट इनजस्टिसेस हैव टू बी एड्रेस्ड. IP सिंह.
पद्मजा, आज देश में अनडिक्लेयर्ड इमरजेंसी है, देश में बेरोजगारी की गिरफ्त में है. आज बेरोजगारी 45 साल की रिकॉर्ड तोड़ रही है. महंगाई ने 24 साल का रिकॉर्ड तोड़ दिया. शेयर मार्केट में रोज 1400 पॉइंट से ज्यादा
growing economy in 2022 and
okay please IP Singh sahab, please, you know very clearly कि what is the issue at hand. Can we stick to the issue at hand?
मेरी बातें आ जाने दे. आज
आप मुद्दे पे please, you know very well what the issue is at hand. Please मुद्दे की बात.
मैं इतनी देर से सबकी बातें सुन रहा हूँ. प्लीज,
पर क्योंकि सर सब मुद्दे पे बात कर रहे हैं,
मेरी बातें आ जाने दीजिए.
महंगाई की बात नहीं हो रही है, इकोनॉमिक.
मैं मुद्दे पर बात करूंगा. आप बात करिए. बीजेपी सरकार जनता को ज्ञानवापी, ताजमहल, हनुमान चालीसा, हिजाब, कश्मीर फाइल इसमें उलझा कर रखना चाहते हैं, जबकि ज्वलंत समस्या है कि आज बिजली का बड़ा संकट देश में खड़ा हो गया है. अब प्रधानमंत्री कहते हैं कि अब बिजली को लेकर ब्रेकिंग न्यूज नहीं बनती. प्रधानमंत्री की बातें हम सुनाना चाहते हैं. आज देश त्रस्त है बिजली को लेकर, आज बेरोजगारी को लेकर लोग त्रस्त हैं. आप ध्यान भटकाने के लिए.
IP सिंह साहब, आपसे छोटा सा सवाल पूछ रही हूँ. आप कह रहे हैं कि बीजेपी उलझा रही है. Today the Supreme Court said we cannot stop people from asking whether the character of a place. In fact, एक second. Again, I am just going to stick to what happened in court. Sir, IP Singh साहब, बीजेपी आज सुप्रीम कोर्ट में नहीं थी. बीजेपी सुप्रीम कोर्ट में नहीं थी. I will seek your silence for 30 seconds.
पार्टी क्या हिंदू विरोधी पार्टी है? आप भटका रहे लोगों को. आप बिजनेस असेंडर की बात कर रहे हैं, आप बिजनेस की बातें कर रहे हैं.
Okay, I'm not going to let this go off the track. एक सेकंड आचार्य जी, एक सेकंड हासिक साहब.
50 शिवलिंग तोड़ दिए संधिकरण के नाम पर, अभी टूटे हैं ये.
एक सेकंड हासिक साहब प्लीज. फिर हम तूतू मैं करते रहेंगे. हम तूतू मैं करते रहेंगे. प्लीज लेट मी रीड आउट टू यू. एक सेकंड प्लीज. Let me read out to you, please. Let me read out to you. आज सीनियर एडवोकेट वैद्यनाथन ने सुप्रीम कोर्ट में क्या बोला? आज उन्होंने बोला, मुजीबुर रहमान साहब, there is a religious character which has emerged from the findings of the report. He says in this light, it is pertinent to note that Order 7, Rule 11 by the Muslim side may not stand. To which Justice Chandrachud said, this is why it is important to let the trial court continue. मेंशन किया गया सुप्रीम कोर्ट में दैट अ रिलीजियस कैरेक्टर has emerged, Mr. Mujibur Rahman. So the trial court should continue hearing the petitioners who are saying कि हमें बताइए इसका कैरेक्टर क्या है. रिपोर्ट में कहा गया है रिलीजियस कैरेक्टर है.
Obviously, the places of worship act will apply only once the character of the place will come to know.
आप मानते हैं कि रिपोर्ट में कैरेक्टर निकल के आया है?
Character is a mosque.
नहीं होता है.
The character will come out as a mosque because at the time of 1947 it was a mosque. The character Supreme Court has not ordered.
You are wrong. 350 साल से ईद और बकरीद हो रही है.
350 years ago, Supreme Court has said right now, right today, what is the character of this place? Or at the time of 1947, what was the character of that place?
That's a very important point you are saying.
Has not said that 300 years ago what was the character. No,
exactly,
Supreme
sir.
Court has not
but
said
if in 1947, according to this report, and I'm sure Ashwini Upadhyay will be better placed to explain this, if, as this survey has said, on the 15th of August 1947, वजू खाने में मौजूद पत्थर सच में शिवलिंग था, then the Places of Worship Act actually doesn't apply to the shivling at all. Ashwini Upadhyay.
Yes, exactly. अभी डिटर्मिनेशन ये होगा कि 15 अगस्त 1947 को वहां पे कैरेक्टर क्या था. सर्वे की रिपोर्ट आ चुकी है, उस पे दोनों पक्षों की दलील होगी. डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट डिसाइड करेगा कि वो क्या था 15 अगस्त 1947 को. और जैसे ये क्लियर हो गया कि ये शिवलिंग है जो मिला है, जैसे ये क्लियर हो गया कि जितनी वहां पे चीजें मिली हैं वो सब पुरानी हैं, तो बड़ी स्वाभाविक सी बात है जब 15 अगस्त 1947 को वो रिलीजियस कैरेक्टर वहां का टेंपल का था, ये कानून लागू ही नहीं होगा. खत्म बात हो गई. सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने यही तो बोला. सुप्रीम कोर्ट, एक मिनट सुनिए, मैं आपको एग्जांपल देता हूं. 14 अगस्त को सुन लो प्लीज, सुन लीजिए, मुझे सुन लीजिए, लगातार मत बोलिए.
वो तो मंदिर ही होगा ना, शिवलिंग कोई पार्क में थोड़ी ना खड़ा होगा.
जब हमारे विग्रह है वो आपका चोरी खत्म हो जाता है वहां पर. आपका मस्जिद का चोरी वहां पर खत्म हो जाता है.
So what was the use of this place?
कैसी बात
है?
आज आपका वह मस्जिद नहीं है, usage
of the place. Character includes
Mr. Rahman, Acharya ji wants to respond to you. You are saying कि भले से ये पता चल जाए कि वो शिवलिंग था पर उसका कैरेक्टर हिंदू नहीं होता. आचार्य
यूजेज
शिवलिंग का और क्या यूजेज हो सकता है?
हमारा शिवलिंग था, उसकी पूजा हो रही थी और अब उसकी पूजा होनी चाहिए. शुद्धिकरण होना चाहिए.
आचार्य जी, मिस्टर रहमान, आपका मिस्टर रहमान,
मस्जिद में नहीं है.
very important in finding out the character.
कोई मूर्ति होना आवश्यक नहीं है.
मिस्टर रहमान,
होता किसी मस्जिद में तो वह मस्जिद का फार्मूला लागू वहां नहीं होता. अगर किसी मस्जिद में कोई देव का विग्रह होता है
और शिवलिंग छोड़ दिया.
एक सेकंड, आचार्य जी इज मेकिंग एन इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट. आप ऐसा कैसे कह सकते हैं कि भाई आप मान रहे हैं ये शिवलिंग है पर आप कह रहे हैं ये शिवलिंग भले से ही हो बट इसका कैरेक्टर टेंपल का नहीं है. अरे जहां शिवलिंग होगा वो कैरेक्टर तो टेंपल का ही होगा ना.
अरे
एक सेकंड जवाब देने दीजिए.
इट वाज यूज्ड एज अ मॉस्क.
सर, हाउ कैन द एक्जिस्टेंस ऑफ अ शिवलिंग
है तो मॉस्क कैसे यूज हो रहा है? और जब आपका मस्जिद है तो मस्जिद में इस्लाम में क्या कहा गया है? अगर कोई मस्जिद में
सर आप
है तो वह मस्जिद नहीं है, वह मंदिर है. इसलिए 1991 का कोई एक्ट वहां उस पर लागू नहीं होता.
ये तो रिडिकुलस. एक सेकेंड, ये तो बहुत ही अजीबोगरीब बात है. हाजिर खान साहब, आप कह रहे हैं कि हम मान रहे हैं कि शिवलिंग है, हम मान रहे हैं कि वहां पर एक सेकेंड if we discovered that it's a shivling, we discovered there is a shikhar under the dome, we discover that there are lotus flowers, there are trishul, there are pan-shaped leaves, we discover there is an elephant statue, we discover there are 4 idols, we discover there are Sanskrit carvings. Just a second, पर उसका कैरेक्टर मॉस्क का है.
Because it is being used as a mosque.
अकबर ने दीन इलाही शुरू किया था और उस दीन इलाही में अकबर ने सारे मज़ाहिब के लोगों को
सर दीन इलाही में संस्कृत में श्लोक थोड़ी ना लिखेंगे.
और दीन ज्ञान के मायने दीन देना और इसलिए सारे मज़ाहिब के लोगों को वहाँ इस्तेमाल कर.
अच्छा ठीक है, आपका आपका एक सेकंड, आपका आर्ग्यूमेंट है, एक सेकंड, इनका आर्ग्यूमेंट, क्योंकि इतना आवाज आ रही है सुनाई नहीं दे रहा आर्ग्यूमेंट। इनका आर्ग्यूमेंट था कि दीने इलाही में, एक सेकंड संजू वर्मा, शैलेश, आचार्य शैलेश तिवारी विल रिस्पॉन्ड टू दिस। इनका आर्ग्यूमेंट है कि दीने इलाही था तो वहां पर संस्कृत में श्लोक भी थे, वहां पर कमल के फूल भी थे, वहां पे त्रिशूल भी था और वहां पे हाथी की मूर्ति भी थी।
गलत बात है। दीने इलाही, सुनिए,
आप इंटरप्ट
बोलिए, मैं बोल रहा हूं, फिर बोलिएगा आप।
हाँ,
जो दीने इलाही शुरू किया था अकबर ने, वह हिंदू विरोधी था, वह हमारे तीर्थ स्थलों पर दर्शन का जो है एक बहुत बड़ा कर लगाया था। वह व्यक्ति दीने इलाही जो है हिंदू विरोधी था। और मैं आपको बता दूं, सुनिए मेरा बात सुनिए, मेरा बात सुनिए, मेरा बात सुनिए, 100 से ज्यादा प्रमाण मिले हैं, 100 से ज्यादा प्रमाण मिले हैं। वह हमारा बेटा था, वहां पर कमल पुष्प का निशान है, त्रिशूल से रोटी खाते थे, का निशान है, घड़ियाल का निशान है, इसलिए वह हमारा मंदिर था।
जिन्होंने रामायण लिखी, उनके घर का खर्चा
So what determines a character?
हिंदुस्तान का, हिंदू धर्म का सबसे बड़ा शत्रु मानता हूं।
Okay, what determines a character? संजू वर्मा, what determines character?
पद्मजा जी अभी ये कहते हैं कि त्रिशूल मिला, कुछ खंडित मूर्तियां मिली, स्वास्तिक चिन्ह देखने को मिला, शेषनाग का चिन्ह देखने को मिला, कुछ हिंदू देवी देवताओं की आकृतियां मिली हैं, but these people refuse to acknowledge that this was a temple which was destroyed and a mosque was built. इनका आर्ग्यूमेंट है कि भाई ये तो काफी सारे मस्जिदों में आपको नंदी भगवान मिलते हैं। और मेरा दूसरा
मैडम, नंदी भगवान कब कितने साल पहले रखे गए हैं, ये बताइए देश को। 135 करोड़ हिंदुस्तानियों को ये बताइए कि नंदी कौन सी संस्कृत का, आप भी बताएं
प्लीज। हाजिर साहब बीच में मत बोलिए क्योंकि वो यहाँ पे है नहीं।
मैंने आपको बड़े धैर्य से सुना। पहली बात तो ये, एक कोई दुनिया में मस्जिद बताइए जिसके कॉम्प्लेक्स में, परिसर में नंदी भगवान मौजूद है। और दूसरी बात, बहुत अहम बात है जो ध्यान से सुनिए, नमाज इज ऑलवेज ऑफर्ड, प्लीज, नमाज इज ऑलवेज ऑफर्ड फेसिंग द वेस्ट, दिस इज अ नोन फैक्ट। नाउ बाय दैट लॉजिक, archaeologists are saying, legal experts and historians are saying, the main door of Qutub Minar faces the north to see the ध्रुव तारा। तो क्या मान लिया जाए कि कुतुब मीनार का मुख्य द्वार वेस्ट की तरफ फेस नहीं करता है, नॉर्थ की तरफ फेस करता है? तो ये कुतुब मीनार था ही नहीं, ये है। आपके लॉजिक के हिसाब से कुतुब मीनार नहीं, विष्णु स्तंभ है।
Okay.
मैडम आप एक बात हमें बताएं कि आपने ताजमहल, लाल किला, जामा मस्जिद, कुतुब मीनार, ज्ञानवापी मस्जिद, बाबरी मस्जिद, इसके अलावा आप ये बताएं कि आपके पुरखों ने इस मुल्क में कौन सी चीज बनाई है? इसके अलावा ये तो बताइए, इन्होंने तो तोड़ के बना दी, आपने क्या बनवाई आपके पुरखों ने, वो देश को बताइए। कुछ नहीं बनाया, कुछ नहीं बनाया। जो हमारी बनाई हुई चीजों को आप अपनी बनाने लगी, ये कोई देश में आर्गुमेंट नहीं सही है।
Okay, IP Singh, Mr. IP Singh, you would be perhaps surprised to know that even in Germany there was a movement कि जितने synagogues थे Jews के, जिनको डिस्ट्रॉय किया गया वर्ल्ड वॉर के दौरान, the Jews went back and said कि हम उन्हें रीबिल्ड करना चाहते हैं, हम उनको रिक्लेम करना चाहते हैं। इक्वली फिर Jews को ही बोला जा सकता है कि मूव ऑन, छोड़ो कल की बातें, कल की बात पुरानी, मत बात करो हॉलोकॉस्ट के बारे में, छोड़ो कल की बातें, टूट गए सिनेगॉग्स, छोड़ो कल की बातें, एन फ्रैंक म्यूजियम क्यों बना रहे हो, छोड़ो कल की बातें। पर यही होता है आइडेंटिटी एंड हिस्ट्री, पीपल वांट टू लीगली रिक्लेम देयर हिस्ट्री, और यही हो रहा है यहां पे।
पद्मजा जी मुझे बोलने देंगी 2 मिनट तो मैं भी बोलूं?
प्लीज बोलिए।
क्या भारत को आप अफगानिस्तान बना देना चाहती हैं? क्या ये लोग भारत के संविधान को नहीं मानते? कर देना। 1200 AD से लेकर 1750 तक जो रूलर रहे, जो उस समय यहाँ फोर्ट बने, जो किले बने हैं, ताजमहल बना है, इनको डिस्ट्रॉय कर दीजिए, बुलडोज कर दीजिए। आप संविधान को बुलडोज करिए, ये जिन्हें मॉन्यूमेंट्स हैं इस दौरान के देश में उन्हें बुलडोज कर दीजिए, और उसके बाद आपको देखिए क्या मिलता है। दूसरी तरफ भारत के प्रधानमंत्री कान में रुई डालकर चुप बैठे हुए हैं, भारत के गृह मंत्री आग लगाकर चुप बैठे हुए हैं, और भारत के प्रधानमंत्री जब अमेरिका के राष्ट्रपति से मिलते हैं तो उन्हें गिफ्ट में ताज देते हैं और कहते हैं कि इस ताज के कारण $1 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी देश में आएगी।
आईपी सिंह साहब, जो ये आप कह रहे हैं ना कि नफरत फैलाने वाला आर्ग्यूमेंट है, यही आर्ग्यूमेंट आज सुप्रीम कोर्ट में किया गया, जिसके बारे में आपको अश्विनी उपाध्याय बताएंगे। पर आप ये जान करके सरप्राइज होंगे दैट जो मॉस्क के लॉयर थे उन्होंने भी कहा दिस एक्सरसाइज नीड्स टू बी निप्ड इन द बड, इट मे कॉज ग्रेव मिसचिफ, सो द रिपोर्ट नीड्स टू बी क्वश्ड। जस्टिस चंद्रचूड़ डिसएग्रीड। आपकी ये जो आर्गुमेंट है यही सुप्रीम कोर्ट में कही गई कि अरे देश में नफरत फैलेगी, बंद करो। जस्टिस चंद्रचूड़ ने कहा नहीं, हम नहीं कर सकते। अश्विनी उपाध्याय,
ये नफरत फैलाने का ठेका,
पर सर सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा है कि ये आर्गुमेंट डजंट होल्ड।
मठ और मंदिर हो गए यहाँ बहस।
आईपी भाई
सर एक सेकंड, उनको जवाब
भाई जरा मुझे बोलने
अश्विनी
दीजिए। आईपी
उपाध्याय,
भाई नमस्ते। आईपी भाई नमस्ते, जरा बोलने दीजिए मुझे। हाँ आईपी भाई जरा प्लीज, आईपी भाई प्लीज, नमस्ते जी। देखिए पूरी दुनिया में पद्मजा जी भारत इकलौता ऐसा देश है जहां मेजॉरिटी कम्युनिटी अपने आदि देव, अपने भगवान के जन्म स्थान के लिए कोर्ट जाती है। पूरी दुनिया में मेजॉरिटी कम्युनिटी अपने देवस्थान के लिए कोर्ट नहीं जाती। पाकिस्तान की मेजॉरिटी कम्युनिटी जहां हाथ रख देती है वहां माइनॉरिटी की हिम्मत नहीं पड़ती उसको टच करने की। बांग्लादेश, अफगानिस्तान, ईरान, इराक, जर्मनी, कोरिया, जापान, पूरी दुनिया की बात मैं कर रहा हूं। मेजॉरिटी कम्युनिटी कहती है ये हमारे कल्चर का राइट है, ये हमारा राइट टू रिलीजन है, ये हमारा राइट टू कल्चर है, ये हमारे पुराने आस्थान है। हिम्मत नहीं पड़ती माइनॉरिटी कम्युनिटी की। लेकिन यहां तुष्टीकरण के कारण, अपीजमेंट के कारण यह स्थिति आ गई कि जिन स्थानों का वर्णन वेद पुराण में है, जिनका वर्णन गीता, रामायण और रामचरितमानस में है, उसको क्लेम करने के लिए कोर्ट जा रहे हैं। और कोर्ट जा रहे हैं तो माइनॉरिटी कम्युनिटी कह रहा है नहीं नहीं नहीं, हम दिखाएंगे नहीं, हम बताएंगे नहीं अंदर में क्या छिपा रखा है, हम यहाँ पे सर्वे नहीं करने देंगे, और हम आपको कोर्ट से, सुप्रीम कोर्ट से हाई कोर्ट तक दौड़ाते रहेंगे। मैं रिक्वेस्ट कर रहा हूँ, मैं रिक्वेस्ट कर रहा हूँ, आप लोग आग से खेल रहे हैं। आप केवल और केवल याद रखिए, ये प्रेशर कुकर का आप केवल सीखने नहीं निकलने देंगे, फट जाएगा प्रेशर कुकर। मेजॉरिटी कम्युनिटी फ्रस्ट्रेट हो चुकी है इस अपीलमेंट से, मेजॉरिटी कम्युनिटी फ्रस्ट्रेट हो चुकी है। आप जिसका जिक्र कुरान हदीस में अपने पास रखिए, जिसका जिक्र कुरान हदीस में अपने पास
रखिए। Nobody should cross the line of the law. But nobody can also be shamed by saying that you've turned into the Taliban, that if you raise this petition or if you raise this demand, then you are trying to spread hate. It is a legal right, and it is a right, mind you, which has been upheld by the Supreme Court in the face of all of these arguments. Incidentally, in the next 8 weeks, this entire verdict will play out, this entire issue will play out in the district court in Varanasi, and simultaneously, beginning the 26th of May, the plea in the Mathura case has also been held maintainable. The hearings start on that. Is this opening a Pandora's box or righting historical wrongs? We'll be keeping a close eye. For the time being, thank you very much, all gentlemen, Sanju Verma, for joining me. "34 years after his fight with a 65-year-old man led to his death, finally former Punjab Congress chief Navjot Singh Sidhu's attempts to duck and dodge the law hit a dead end. He had no choice left but to surrender, but not before his lawyer made a last-ditch effort to delay what was imminent, telling the top court that on medical grounds Navjot Singh Sidhu should be granted more time. However, nobody bought into that. He forgot that just hours ago that Sidhu was fit enough to ride an elephant on the streets of Punjab to protest against the central government. Be that as it may, all such efforts fell flat. Navjot Singh Sidhu finally had to surrender and went to jail close to 4 decades after he caused the death of a man.
Mr. Sidhu on 18th of May was fit enough to ride on an elephant and participate in a political protest. but on 20th of May, his medical condition has deteriorated and he needs more time. What is a bigger mockery is that Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Vadra and the Congress party, who love Navjot Singh Sidhu, perhaps because he has hugged Bajwa, because he considers Imran Khan as his baijan, have not taken a decision of sacking him.
सिद्धू ਨੂੰ ਸਜ਼ਾ ਹੋਈ ਆ ਸਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਜੇ ਕੱਟ ਅੰਦਰ ਆਉਣਗੇ ਕੋਈ ਵੱਡੀ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਗੀ ਬਾਦਲ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਕਿੰਨੀਆਂ ਜੇਲ੍ਹਾਂ ਕੱਟੀਆਂ ਕਈ ਲੀਡਰਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿੰਨੀਆਂ ਜੇਲ੍ਹਾਂ ਕੱਟੀਆਂ ਕੋਈ ਨਸ਼ੇ ਦੇ ਦੋਸ਼ ਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਨਾ ਅੰਦਰ ਚੱਲੇ ਇਹ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆ ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਸਖਤੀ ਪ੍ਰਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਰੈਂਡਰ ਕਰਨਗੇ ਸਿੱਧੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਕੋਈ ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਜ਼ਾ ਕੋਰਟ ਨੇ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਆ ਭੁਗਤਣ ਨੂੰ ਤਿਆਰ ਆ
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
The question now is the Congress continuing to support a man who has finally faced the law? Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of BJP, Dr. Suman C. Raman, political analyst, Gokul Chandran, political analyst. Why should the Congress keep backing Navjot Singh Sidhu?
Ask me, Sidhu should have been removed from the party long ago for various other reasons. But for this reason, a crime committed 34 years back, it's still a crime. He's killed a man, everything is fine. But asking to sack him, citing only this as the reason, is something which I don't understand.
Why?
Tell me. I don't know what joke is going on and that lady is giggling. Okay, fine.
Stop commenting on me and answer the question.
You stop giggling first.
Okay, please, sir, please. Again, Mr. Chandran, please answer the question. Why don't you think a man's death is enough reason for a Navjot Singh Sidhu to be removed from the Congress?
Okay, tell me, how many political parties have removed? See, the lady who is giggling there, let me let her first answer why the people from her party sentenced to jail are still serving in her party.
Like?
How many political parties have removed people just because they are sent to jail in a particular case?
Sanju Verma, can you name some examples, Mr. Gokul Chandran?
Okay. You know, I was giggling at the stupidity of the argument put forward by this man. Let me tell you one thing. Why Navjot Singh Sidhu should be sacked. He was given a reprieve by the court in the 1988 incident. In 2006, he was given a reprieve by the court. In 2018 also, the Supreme Court gave him a reprieve. But today, the very court that gave him a reprieve said that it is frustrating and humiliating victim's family that Sidhu was let off with just 1,000 rupees fine. And the Supreme Court has now said that the charge against him is not causing grievous hurt, but it is aggravated culpable homicide. Aggravated culpability for which he's been sentenced to 1 year rigorous imprisonment. Sidhu has also made a mess of Punjab politics for the Congress. It was Congress's election to lose in Punjab, but finally Aam Aadmi Party made that magnificent dent. What does that tell you? Sidhu is both incompetent. Sidhu has changed parties dime a dozen. His loyalties have never been above board. And
no, but answer the question that you've got plenty of criminals in your roster as well.
Okay, so I'm answering correctly. As long as you're not convicted, please let me finish. As long as you're not convicted, Padmaja, I'm making an important point. I'm making an important point.
Okay, so you are saying till the time that you are convicted, you cannot decide on guilt, and that's why you do not act.
No, let me finish. All I'm saying is that the Representation of People's Act 1951 says that if you're convicted, that is what even Prime Minister Modi has said from various platforms. If you're convicted, there is no room for a convict in BJP. Kuldeep Singh Sengar went to jail much before court sentenced him. We had already told him he has nothing to do with our party anymore. Bring up the issue of, Ajay Mishra Teni. So let me tell you that on this debate, on Padmaja's debate, I have said if the court finds him guilty, he will face the law of the land. He will face the music.
Suman C. Raman.
He's going to support him.
Suman C. Raman, this is about conviction. It is about conviction, and it's about the family of the victim saying that we have been denied justice for close to 4 decades. Suman C. Raman.
Okay.
Look, Padmaja, the man has finally been sentenced, and he has on the very next day turned himself in before the law. and he will undergo his sentence. I don't see what the issue here is.
The issue is that reports are the top leadership of the party called him up and said, "We are with you." On a day that he's going to jail.
Like the top leadership of the BJP has continued to
back Pragya Singh Thakur, who is a terror accused.
But she is out on bail and
these are not. I can give you a long list of BJP leaders who have
been convicted.
No. One minute. Can I speak? I did not interrupt her. Anurag.
Okay, one by one. Mr. Sumansi Raman, you are again making a point that the BJP also has similar skeletons. Let's argue on specifics. Who are the leaders of the BJP who have been convicted of being responsible for the murder of a person and continue to be in the party? Let Sanju Verma answer on specifics. Who is that person?
Look, it does not mean that somebody who is...
One by one, please answer. Go on.
All the time.
Sumansi Raman.
Look, there is a BJP leader in Uttar Pradesh who was sentenced to life imprisonment. I think, I'm not getting his name, in a murder case. Let me, I think it was somewhere in Sultanpur or something. And Bahadur Singh, young Bahadur Singh. And I think that he was convicted in a murder case. So there are cases in BJP also of people who have been convicted. And, the thing is, Mr. Sidhu is not holding any important post at present in the party. He was the PCC chief some time back. He is no longer the PCC chief. And he does not hold any post in the party for him to be
Sanju Verma.
Stripped the party
So
post.
He is anyway incidental.
National Herald scam. Rahul Gandhi accused in the National Herald scam. P. Chidambaram accused in the INX media scam. Karti Chidambaram accused in the Excel Maxis and INX media scam, and for giving 250 fake visas.
Can I read out the list?
What do you have to say about these people?
Can I read out another list? I've got a big list here.
You consider him holier than thou.
How many do you want me to read out?
To the BJP,
there are 11
the pot calling the kettle black. Ulta chor Kotwal ko
There are 17 charges against Mr.
Okay, I think there is another name that Gokul Chandran also has for you, Sanju Verma. Jang Bahadur Singh, who was sentenced to life in a 26-year-old murder case and imposed a fine of 1 lakh rupees. That's the example that has been given by Sumansi Raman. Gokul Chandran has another example for you. Yes, Gokul Chandran.
Yeah, see, the same person, Jang Bahadur Singh, who was the State Warehousing Corporation chairman in
same research. Damn it. He stole your thunder, Mr. Sumansi Raman. But go on. Yes, Gokul Chandran.
No, I told this same name. You can replay. I told the same name earlier.
Yes, go on. Come on. Yes, answer. Go on, Gokul Chandran.
Sanju Verma is reading out names. Ye Tadipar is the Home Minister of India. Ye Tadipar, ye person who was named in Gujarat riots, who led the Gujarat riots, murdered thousands of people, is the Prime Minister of India.
You support Rajiv Gandhi's killers and you come here and give a bhashan to the BJP. You are a Congress chamcha. You are not even a national spokesperson.
Keep quiet on Sidhu before taking action, and then you can speak.
Okay, no tutu meme. You are talking about Jang Bahadur Singh. Fair enough. But last heard, no one in the senior leadership, or maybe I missed it, called up Jang Bahadur Singh and said the party is with you, as is being reported, Sumansi Raman, about Navjot Singh Sidhu. Even before, and by the way, this gentleman tried to dodge the law. Yesterday sitting on an elephant, today morning again saying, I am too unwell to surrender. And then the party says, you say that he is inconsequential, but the party is still backing him.
Did he not surrender?
MLAs of the party, MLAs of the Congress turned up at his house as if it was a felicitation ceremony.
Look, when somebody goes to jail, there is certainly friends, party people who will meet him before he goes to jail. What is legally wrong with that? I don't.
Nothing is legally wrong. Absolutely nothing. You know, it's not as if he's going to go off for a vacation that he is being given a grand send-off. Here is somebody who is finally going to jail, sentenced to rigorous imprisonment. You are absolutely right in saying that every party, including the BJP, has such skeletons in their closet. Well, those skeletons must also be dragged out and put out to pasture, just like perhaps Mr. Sidhu also. Thank you very much, all gentlemen. Sanju Verma for joining me. Have a good weekend.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break. Times now. Action begins here.
वेलकम टू फ्रैंकली स्पीकिंग, नमस्कार और आपका स्वागत है। और हिमंता बिस्वा शर्मा जी, आप असम के मुख्यमंत्री हैं। सबसे पहले तो आपको बधाई कि आपने अपना 1 साल का टेन्योर पूरा किया है और आज हम असम के बारे में और देश के बारे में बात करेंगे। ये 1 साल आप किस चीज से इसको मार्क करते हैं कि इस 1 साल में सबसे सिग्निफिकेंट, सबसे जरूरी चीज आपने क्या की है?
देखिए, काफ़ी चीज़ हुआ है असम में। कोई चीज़ हमारा पर्सपेक्टिव से बहुत अच्छा हुआ है, कोई चीज़ नेशनल पर्सपेक्टिव से अच्छा हुआ है, लेकिन कुल मिला के हमने जो
The News Hour at 10. The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break. Times now. Action begins here.
मैं आपसे पूछना चाहती हूँ, आप पर सेडिशन का केस लगा, आपके ऊपर चार्ज था कि आप लॉ एंड ऑर्डर तोड़ रही थी, आप 2 हफ्ते जेल में भी रही। मैं आपसे पूछना चाहती हूँ सबसे पहले कि हर इंसान, और यही शिवसेना का कहना है, संजय राउत ने स्टेटमेंट भी दिया है कि जिसको हनुमान चालीसा पढ़ना है वो मंदिर जाए, वो अपने घर में पढ़े, वो अपने पूजा
The News Hour at 10.